Welcome back from lunch, honorable members. So before lunch, Honorable Ishmael was rounding up because she's taken a substantial amount of our time. So that will be Honorable Ishmael's last question that she's posing. Then Honorable Ishmael will be followed by Honorable Hlongo, then by Honorable Buthelezi, then by Honorable Tito, then by, no, I'm giving per party, as you could see. Otherwise, I can do the 3, 4 of the ANC in one row, and others will have to wait. So I'm now trying to say the DA through Honorable Ishmael had an opportunity, followed by Honorable Hlongo, followed by Honorable Buthelezi of the MKP, followed by Honorable Mashabela will take over, followed by Honorable Mashabela, and then we'll take another round. Then again, it will be Honorable Linda, then Honorable Likharaba, then Honorable Tito. You will follow Moodley. You'll follow Moodley, then Honorable Moodley, then Honorable Tito, and then we'll give Honorable Klong, followed by Honorable Maecho. Maecho will round up for us. Honorable Ishmael.
Thank you, Chair, once again. Minister, my last question of clarity. You cannot claim you did not appoint a deputy chair due to factions in the board. You yourself appointed an entirely new board other than Professor Davids in September 2024. Until its dissolution last month, almost a year later, no deputy chairperson was appointed. This, in effect, is in contravention of Section 13, subsection 7 of the Tourism Act. So do you admit to contravening the Tourism Act, and based on this, on the 1st of August, the board had to make do with the round-robin meeting and not implement consequence management as required per the AG and the SIU investigation? And on that basis alone, Minister, would you consider reinstatement of the dissolved board? Thank you.
No, I did not contravene any law. Not a single law. I think you're going back to the first question that I've answered. I was now about to explain to you. Your question is to why did I not appoint a chairperson after the 31st of August when that chairperson resigned? The board just had a quarterly meeting on the 31st of August. Immediately, on the 1st of August, they wanted to have another meeting. So you can ask them, why did they not follow? They are here. Why did they not follow due process in terms of the law to convene a meeting? Because Mr. Lawson Naidu was so eager to become the chairperson immediately. And then he got appointed wrongfully and unlawfully as a representative of the board. They can hear, they can answer for themselves. So I did not fail to appoint an acting chair on the 1st, hours after Professor Gregory resigned, because they just had a full quarterly meeting. The Act prescribes that the board must at least have 4 meetings a year. They just had a quarterly meeting. Immediately, hours later, they want to have another meeting. So I think they can answer that question for you. The deputy ministers just reminded me. The two of us were looking at appointing a female deputy chair. We discussed, we had agreed on Sisa Mandamela. And before we could do so, she had resigned. So it's not that we were just sitting around, without a deputy chair. We did attempt to appoint a deputy chair. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Slongo.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Before maybe I ask the questions, Chair, I want to make a few remarks that we're seated here today. It's the 2nd of September. The minister comes here and addresses the nation through the portfolio committee meeting, instead of her calling a briefing and address the nation about the tourism month, Chair. Again, in the minister opening or reflecting on your opening, Chair, the minister had all the documents with her. She kept on annexing, but we don't have the documents. It should be noted in record, Chair, that the minister did not submit documents that were asked by the portfolio committee a week before. And also, Chair, as the Chair, you should caution the minister. There's no some people or they or them, they're board members, they're doctors, they're directors, they're everything. She should refer to them as board members, not just as they and all of that. Chair, now to my questions. On the minister said she dissolved the board because of a meeting that had set on the 1st of August 2025. Now, when the board members here were interacting, they kept on referring or mentioning that there's no meeting that sat on the 1st of August that took a decision to suspend the board. Now, on what basis do you, Minister, believe that the board meeting was held on the 1st of August 2025? Because the very same board members that are here and you are here in this meeting are saying there's no meeting that sat on that day.
Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Slongo. Thank you, Honorable Chair. Indeed, the board maintains that there was no board meeting. Where did the resolution come from to appoint Mr. Naidu as a representative of the board? That is what I'm asking, because a resolution was taken, whether it was by round robin or whether it was by email or what, but a resolution came out of that 1st August, whatever you want to call it, a meeting or a round robin or what, a resolution came out of that. And that was to appoint Mr. Naidu as the representative of the board. Thank you, Honorable Member. This, the Chairperson, on the issue of tourism, we launched Tourism Month already 2 weeks ago in Soweto. We are preparing now for the Tourism Investment Summit, the Tourism G20 Ministerial Meeting, the Tourism Hackathon, and we are going on with the work of tourism. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Can the board please clarify the meeting of the 1st of August 2025?
Thank you, Honourable Member. As I said earlier, there was no meeting of the board on the 1st of August. In the circumstances of the chair having resigned, us not having a deputy chair in place, and needing to deal with urgent issues relating to the finalization of the annual financial statements for the Auditor General, as well as dealing with the speedy suspension of the company secretary. And I might just add at this point, the company secretary reports to the board. The company secretary is a political advisor, is a legal advisor and a policy advisor to the board. The company secretary was suspended without any reference to the board. We were simply informed after the fact. We then had to deal with those urgent issues. So whilst, yes, we did have a meeting on the 31st, an ordinary quarterly meeting, and as I said earlier, the former chair resigned at the very end of that meeting. We don't know when he resigned or when he tendered his resignation to the minister, but that was the first we heard of it. We then had to act, and we by, as I said earlier, by a round-robin resolution circulated electronically to all of the board members. Every one of us signed that resolution. It was taken unanimously. So I dispute the minister's statement that I was itching to become the chair of the board. I had to be persuaded by my colleagues, and they are here and they can support that. Thank you.
Thank you. And another question to the board: was the minister informed about the decision taken by the board that Mr. Naidu will represent it until the minister filled the position of chairperson? If so, then why does the minister consider any meeting held under Section 18, subsection 5 and Section 18, subsection 6 of the Tourism Act unlawful?
Ms. Nokele?
Thank you, Honourable Member. I think it's very important for us all to focus on that day. It's a very important day for South Africa, for the public sector, the 31st of July. That's when you meet the deadline to file your AFS. After that, it is the annual report. So it's a very critical period. I also want to share with the Portfolio Committee that the Audit and Risk Subcommittee worked for 48 hours non-stop. The AFS were in such a poor condition, and my colleague, who is the acting chair of ARC, can talk to how the office of the AG bent over backwards. They were working, I kid you not, 48 hours non-stop. So for us to be told it was about 8:30 the night we had been working, because ARC has to come to board. We are sticklers for due process. We serve on listed company boards, international company boards. We cannot have our status as non-executive directors tarnished by being labeled unlawful nor delinquent, and certainly not for some of us. We're in the winter of our years, and we have worked tirelessly in the interest of South Africa and Africa, not at this stage of our lives and our careers to be labeled delinquent, unlawful, irresponsible. That is defamatory and libelous. It's not only about your earning capacity, it is about your brand equity, that you work so hard to ensure that it complies and stands up to the most rigorous scrutiny when it comes to ethics, compliance, and transparency. So the 30th and the 31st of July are very critical when you work in the SOE space or in a state entity space. Then, of course, after that, you have to do the AR, the annual report, which means, and hence the previous board talked about the necessity of having meetings. It's required by law that you have these meetings. Also, the Treasury does not look very kindly upon deviations and financial agreements by way of round robins. It's frowned upon. So you try and avoid that. But again, to insinuate that one of our board members wanted to be chair, I think that is just so actually offensive in a way to Mr. Lawson. And when we were deciding on how we're going to manage the suspension of the CEO, 2 disciplinary hearings, the chair just dropped this on us to say, at the end of the meeting, we had been for 2 days in meetings, and he tells us at the end of the meeting, by the way, I have resigned, but I will sign the Fs. So even there is a bit of a complication because he resigns, yet the Fs have to be signed. So you can see that our attention to due process to preserve the entity of SAT in order to preserve the tourism sector, that is the space that we came from, Honourable Member. That is why we had to find a way. You can't have 10 people talking to anybody working within SAT, nor to the office of the AG. Someone has to be mandated to represent all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Back to you, Minister. It was presented here, Minister, that Ms. Guliwe resigned from SAT in November 2022, but served a notice period before leaving in January 2023. Why was she then hired again by SAT in August the same year, and after that appointed acting CEO?
Honourable Minister.
Okay, I have asked exactly the question that Honourable Slongo has asked. And I found in my records a response to that exact question from the previous board, and I will share that with the honorable members. They have put it, let me just see if I can find it. Yeah, up. They responded to me on the 8th of February from the then chairperson of the board. I've requested for a report on any disciplinary processes started or allegations made against Ms. Nombolelo Goliwe during her previous tenure at the South African Tourism. And I will share with the honorable members the response from the board. Just in the conclusion of the board's letter that I will share, the board says that in conclusion, the board obtained the necessary assurance regarding the circumstances as why she left SA Tourism during the interview process. And the facts before Ms. Goliwe's departure were confirmed by our review of the 4th of September forensic report, 2023 forensic report. And to the board's knowledge, there are no pending disciplinary processes or investigations involving Ms. Goliwe, no allegations made against her. I raised the same question and I will share the response of the then board with the honorable members. Thank you.
You stated, Minister, that I don't want to go into the deputy chairperson issue. You did not answer that. You were asked, why didn't you appoint a deputy chairperson in 2024? You did not respond. You said you appointed a deputy chairperson now in an interim. And that one is just a no-no for me. And you again, Minister, speak of factions. You appointed because of factions. It really does not make sense that a Home Minister would appoint because, or would appoint in line of factions. Then how do these colleagues work together if you appoint someone because of factional reasons?
Honorable Minister.
So the honorable member Slongo is saying that she's not accepting my explanation that I gave earlier on.
You did not respond to why there was no deputy chairperson. You said the reason you did not appoint because there were factions, and that's not an answer that as members of the portfolio committee we can accept, that you did not appoint, and then yet you say they said unlawfully, but not taking into consideration your own actions, Minister.
What I'm saying, and I will repeat, honorable member, yes, there were factions in the board. I've just answered it a minute ago. The deputy minister reminded me about us wanting to appoint a female chairperson, deputy chairperson. And the two of us agreed on a name. And then before we could do that appointment, that person resigned. So it's not that we've not tried to replace that. And I've just answered it earlier on. Thank you, Chair, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Minister. It should be noticed again in record, Minister. You sit with us in portfolio committees. You never came with that to the portfolio committee. You are now saying it because we are raising it as a portfolio committee. Now, Chair or Minister, let me move to the interim board that you had appointed. In the interim board that you are appointed, there is one board member by the name of Ms. Koleka Zama, which I think, Minister, would be aware of the serious issues from the 6th Parliament regarding Ms. Koleka Zama. If I can maybe refresh your memory, Minister. On the 9th of May 2023, a meeting held at Inkosi Albert Lutuli International Convention Center in Durban, Ms. Zama told the committee that she had written a letter to South African Tourism as an acting chairperson based on the decisions taken by the board to take away the delegation of authority to the executives of the entity. It then emerged at a meeting of the 23rd of May 2023 that Mr. Tim Harris had instructed Ms. Zama to write that letter. It was not based on a board decision. She lied to the committee. Secondly, on the 9th of May 2023, Ms. Zama informed the committee that Mr. Tim Harris and Mr. Zwelibanzi Ndambo had tendered apologies for not attending the meeting. She said the reason stated by the two board members was that they will attend an official meeting called by Parliament. That assertion was deemed disrespectful by the committee as the two board members had deliberately shunned to attend the meeting duly called by the committee. It then transpired on the 23rd of May 2023 that Ms. Zama misled the committee, and as Mr. Tim Harris said at the committee meeting, he never said what Ms. Zama told the committee, and he considered the meeting of the 9th of May as official business of Parliament. In that regard, the committee member in the 6th Parliament opened a case against Ms. Zama at the Cape Town police station. Did you consider all this before appointing Ms. Zama as the deputy chairperson of this interim board that you've put in place?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I will certainly go and revisit the PMG reports of the 6th Parliament and look at the records. All 6 South Africans that I have appointed now, the department has done some security clearances on them. Now, security clearance is not vetting, but it looks whether you've got a criminal record, whether there are charges of all of that. And in terms of the security clearance report around Ms. Zama, there was nothing untoward. But in terms of what Honorable Shonga raised about the 6th Parliament, I will definitely go and check the records and then come back to you on that. But thank you for bringing it to my attention.
Chair, again, I don't accept the answer. I did not sit in the tourism portfolio committee in the previous administration, but I've got these facts with me. Clearly, the minister sat in that portfolio committee. She knows what I'm talking about. And my question, Minister, did you consider everything that I've mentioned about Ms. Zama before appointing her as the deputy chair of the interim board?
I think, to accuse me that I pretend not to know, it's also not fair. Only thing that I'm asking you, Honorable Slongo, let me go and look at the records. This is in 2023. And I will do so, and I will come back to you with an answer. On the second part of your question, I've answered that all the 6 persons that we have appointed in the interim, we put them through security clearance, and there was not a matter raised against them. What more can I say? If you don't believe me, it's fine also, Honorable Member. But I'm just asking for the time to go and get the records. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I think the 20 minutes we are given, Chair, is not going to work because we are not getting the answers. And how do we move on without answers? Well, I'm not going to move on, Chair. And you can call it a dialogue, you can call it whatever you want to call it. We called this meeting wanting answers. Firstly, we came here without documents and presentations. We accepted that. Now we need to accept that the minister says she will go back and come back. We're here now asking questions and we need answers, Chair. I think we need, the reason I called for lunch, I was not hungry by the time I called lunch. I called for lunch because I saw that the minister was trying to gather her documents. Hence, I called for lunch so that when we go to lunch, we'll come back. Maybe the minister would have everything with her. But seemingly, we are still going back and forth, Chair, and I'll be seen as disrespecting your meeting, me saying, Minister, you did not respond yet, you did not respond here. So now I get the frustration that Honorable Ishmael was having. The minister is really not answering any of the questions that are posed to her. But then it's fine. I'm trying to skip the minister because you would say what, so that's why I'm taking time.
Proceed on.
Yes, Minister, you spoke of I think this goes to you and the board. We would want the minutes of the meeting of the 1st. You are saying there was a meeting, the board is saying there's no meeting. So the board clarified what they spoke of, and then you saying there was a meeting. So can you please give us the minutes of that meeting, Minister, since you are aware that there was a meeting that was held on that day?
I didn't speak about Honorable Schlonga. I said there was a resolution. It's not a minute. I said there was a resolution where they have decided. No, what do you want me to, lie? I'm not in the business of lying. I'm not in the business of lying.
Minister, so you are saying that
Is the
a decision you
I
took
made
was
a
based on a resolution.
to the record. I just said earlier on, there was a resolution. I even asked, where did the resolution come from? Did it fall out of the air? I didn't do minutes. I said there was a resolution out of that meeting, or call it whatever you want to call it, round robin or what. And I said the board must answer. If you accepted the board's explanation that there was no meeting, then the honorable members must say so. Then I'd say, Minister, you're wrong, there was a meeting.
Minister, you see, the reason why I wrote to you on the 21st of August was to avoid this. We've requested all relevant documentation so that members prepare themselves, come with questions based on the documentation that your office would have provided us. Now, in the absence of the documentation that your office provided us, you see, now it's a free-for-all. We are now allowing members to, and you can see, some of them have done their homework. They've done their homework and now they're coming with questions. If you were to have provided the documentation, this would not have been the case. Because now it's their word against my word, and it's their word against my word, and it will be a back and forth. But South Africa is watching. And honorable members, I don't think you need to be agitated that some questions are not answered. The public out there will judge. They are watching. They are watching that, and they are seeing that you're opposing questions and your questions are being avoided or not answered. So I think we will proceed. I see there's a hand on the left. Mr. Pilani.
Thank you, Chair. Just to refresh the committee, the Act under Section 20 says resolution, and it's very clear, resolution without a meeting. It says the board may adopt a resolution without a meeting if at least a majority of the members in office at the time indicate their support. I'll not go through it, but all I'm saying is that it was not the majority, Chair. It was all the board members. Thank you.
Thank you for that clarity, Mr. Pilani. There was another hand, Minister, and then I'll give you to round off.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Honorable Schlonga. It's a critical point that you're raising. And I think the Minister's admission now that she accepts that there was no meeting on the 1st of August is really important, because her letter of dissolution of the board is premised on that very fact. So if that fact is, she now concedes, is wrong, the dissolution of the board is unlawful. And the letter of the Minister says, and I quote, "The board acted unlawfully and exceeded its powers when it took the resolution dated 1 August 2025, in that the very meeting where the impugned resolution was taken did not follow the lawful procedure set out in Section 18, subsection 2 of the Act." I think that's really critical, because the Minister is now deviating from the written reason she provided to the board for the reason for the dissolution of the board. And the Minister now accepts that that was wrong.
Thank you, Mr. Naidu. Minister, over to you.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I had said and I made it a point again, and I'm going to repeat. There's a difference between a meeting that you are allowed to have at least 4 times a year and a special meeting. And in terms of section 18(1)(a), the board must convene a special meeting within 14 days of receiving a written request to do so, signed by the majority of the members. They just had a meeting on the 31st. They wanted a special meeting on the 1st of August. So there's a big difference, and it's prescribed in the Act how you call a special meeting, because they just had their meeting. So that is what I was trying to explain right from the beginning. And then it says the request contemplated in section 2B must clearly state the reason for the request, and only after that matter may be discussed at a special meeting. Did they follow the procedure in terms of a special meeting? That is the question, not just a meeting.
Point of order, Chair. Point of order. You know, the argument is very simple here. Was the meeting happen the 1st of, or a resolution? Which is it? 'Cause I'm not lost, because from what we heard, there was a meeting that happened on the 1st of August. Now we're hearing that the resolution being done. So I'm trying to figure out what we're talking, what is the minister talking about here? Meeting, resolution. Where the resolution came from, there was no meeting. So some meeting could have happened for a resolution to come out. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Moodley, and I'm deducting some of your minutes, some of your time, because it was Honorable Tlongo that was on the platform, and she had to pose her own follow-up questions. But I wanted to find out as well, Minister, was this a special meeting that we referred to? Because the Act does allow for a round robin. Yes, Minister?
Chairperson, I'm saying again, the quarterly meeting was held on the 31st. Call it a special meeting, then you have to convene a special meeting following certain procedures in terms of section 18(1), 2(a), and B. And I am saying the Act says, if this was a special meeting, because they just had their quarterly meeting yesterday, special meeting within 14 days of receiving a written request. That is the key difference that I'm making here. So I think we're using meeting and special meeting interchangeable, and I am trying to separate the two. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Tlongo?
Okay, Minister. On your statement on the 20th of August 2025, you said the board took a decision to suspend the CEO on the 1st of August. Yet the board say that meeting was held on the 2nd of May 2025. What's your take on that?
Honorable Minister?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. There were two sets of what they call events. The first event related to the suspension of the CEO started in June, and I've explained what happened there. The board wrote to me asking for my concurrence, and I said, give me all the documentation. I will not repeat that. I went to my colleague, Minister Buthelezi, and then he finally responded on the 27th of June. What I was referring to here is the sort of second suspension was reasons given like retaliatory something. So it's two different events. That's my understanding, Honorable Tlongo.
So, Minister, what did the board resolve on the 1st of August 2025?
The board resolved on the 1st of August 2025 to appoint, in that resolution, according to them, to appoint Mr. Lawson Naidu as a representative of the board.
So you are saying they are lying when they say that meeting set on the 30th of July?
Meeting.
The one that appointed Mr. Naidu, because the board say
They
that
can
meeting.
answer. I could be out.
Okay, it's
No,
fine, Chair, let's
no,
move on.
No. Honorable Chair, no, I'm not going to move on, Chair, with your permission.
You may proceed, Minister.
I have got, and I've shared the resignation letter with you. The board chairperson resigned in the meeting, the last quarterly meeting. It is the very next day on the 1st of August, where this round robin, whatever was called, and then a resolution came from that. So now you're saying that I am saying that the meeting was on the 31st or not the 30th. And I'm trying to understand if this is what Honorable Slongo is saying. I was wrong in saying the meeting was on the 31st, it was on the 30th. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, let's move from that, Minister. Looking at the events around the resignation of the chairperson, would you agree that you've put the board in a difficult situation by not either quickly appointing the chairperson and the deputy chairperson of the board?
No, I think the law put them in a difficult situation because the law prescribes in section 18(2) what you must do when you are faced with such circumstances, not me. Law prescribed, and they are a creature of statute, and they have to comply with the law. It's not me.
I think, Chairperson, I will stop there and do say that I also think and believe that Minister dissolving the board was unlawful also. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Flongo. I think I must just make it clear here. When questions are directed to the minister, it's the minister that answers and interacts with the questions. When questions are posed to the board, it's the board that answers. When a question is posed to the minister, the board, I will not allow any of the board members to answer the honorable members on behalf of the minister. You've had your opportunity to present, to do a presentation from your side. And I think honorable members are quite equipped with all the information that you've given them. They will be posing the questions, etc. So let it be the minister that answers the questions to the honorable members when they are posing the questions to her. And whether it is also Ms. Kanile that they pose the questions to, it will be Ms. Kanile that will be answering the questions if they pose directly to her. Otherwise, we're going to create chaos where the board members, previously I should not have allowed that, where the board members feel that they now need to jump in and answer questions by the honorable members. That will create a chaos in the meeting. Let us then proceed. Honorable Flongo will be followed by Honorable Buthelezi.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I only have questions directed to the minister, not to the board. There's not even a single positive comment I have heard about the minister so far. It's so embarrassing. It is safe to say you are incompetent, Minister. You have failed to act accordingly in solving this matter. I'm failing to understand why these decisions were never communicated within the members of this committee. It seems as if your communication skills are at zero level, Minister, given the fact that even the former board members seated here having been sending letters to the minister with no response. If you are not communicating with the board members, not communicating with the members of the Portfolio Committee, who then are you communicating with regarding this issue? Well, then I think I'll have to go into the questions. My first question, Minister, will be, how has the suspension of the CEO and the subsequent dissolution of the Tourism Board affected ongoing projects and initiatives within the tourism sector? What measures are in place to assess the impact on stakeholders?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Member. Thank you for the question. I did in my opening statement show that there is no crisis. I did refer to a meeting last week from the sector where we had an execution lab and where we had discussed the implementation of the Tourism Growth Partnership Plan. I further had reported in my statement, and I provided a copy. The Tourism Business Council, that is the biggest representative of the private sector, wrote to me and pledged their support to continue the implementation of the Tourism Growth Partnership Plan. I've also submitted that letter to the committee. So there's no impact whatsoever. Now, if the honorable members say that, yes, I'm incompetent because I failed to communicate with the PC, again, I have referred to the Constitution and the separation of powers in the Constitution in my opening address, Section 85 and Section 40, I think. And therein is my answer also to the honorable member. It's in the Constitution. And if you look at the arrivals in our country and the improvement in our country of arrivals coming to South Africa, together with the private sector, we are building the tourism sector together. I have appointed 6 South Africans to continue with the work of South African tourism, which their mandate in terms of the Tourism Act is to market the country. And already Parliament has approved the medium-term development plan for tourism. You have approved the annual performance plan of tourism. So it's a matter of implementation. And so this has got absolutely no impact on the implementation of the MDTP, the Tourism Growth Partnership Plan, and the APP. I thank you, Honorable Member. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Minister. Is there a mechanism for reviewing the decision to suspend the CEO and dissolve the Tourism Board? If so, what does that process entail?
Honorable Minister.
I said earlier on also, Chairperson, that I have read in the newspapers that the now dissolved board members, that they plan to challenge my decision in court. It's their democratic right. And maybe I said also, the court will bring finality to the board's interpretation of the Tourism Act vis-a-vis the legal advice that I have received. Once you've got different interpretations of the same law, the best is for the courts to resolve it. So I think I will grant their democratic right to proceed in that way, Honorable Member, if they want to review any of the decisions that I have taken, and then that's their right. Thank you.
In the light of the dissolution of the Tourism Board, Minister, what new governance structures or frameworks is the government considering to ensure effective leadership and ongoing support for the tourism industry?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you. The mandate of South African tourism, and they receive 50% of the budget of the Department of Tourism, just over 1 billion rand. And the mandate is clearly spelled out that they must do destination marketing. And already we have informed honorable members before too about the global campaign that was launched already, I think in January or February this year. So there are plans to be implemented by the sector. The government puts in 1 billion rand into marketing South Africa. The private sector put in 30 billion rand to market the sector. And that's why the collaboration between the Tourism Business Council and government is so important, because we have to work together, and we are working together. So again, must understand the mandate of SA Tourism. I have already, like I said earlier on, appointed 6 South Africans to continue with the work of SA Tourism. That is to market South Africa as a destination. Thank you very much.
What measures are in place to hold accountable those involved in the decision-making process, especially if it is found that the process was flawed?
Honourable Minister.
May I say clarity, Chairperson, what measures are in place to hold who accountable?
Ones that dissolve the board.
Minister accountable.
Yes, Minister.
You, Chair. This is accountability. This is transparency. Parliament is there to hold the minister to account anytime. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to explain myself. So then, as I said in the Constitution, Section 85, if the president feels that I have overstepped the mark, it's up to the president to decide how he's going to act. But I'm perfectly happy to be held accountable. I will never run away from my responsibilities. And then people must understand also that if I answer you, and my answer is the truth, but you want to hear something else, you really cannot expect me then to lie to you. I will never do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. My questions were exhausted.
Thank you, Honourable Buthelezi. Honourable Buthelezi will be followed by Honourable Mashabela.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Minister, Section 16, subsection 3A of the Act provides that the minister may, on good cause shown, dissolve the board by way of notice in the Gazette and appoint a new board in accordance with Section 13. So the Minister of Tourism has, in terms of Section 13, Section 16, subsection 3, paragraph A of the Tourism Act, you, the minister, appointed persons to manage the affairs of the South African Tourism Board until the appointment of the new board is completed. One of the persons appointed is Ms. Koleka Zama. Koleka Zama, who is barred from attending Parliament Portfolio Committee for lying to the committee under oath. Minister, Ms. Koleka Zama was removed from the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee in your presence. Today you say you are going to check records as if it is something new to you. The minister even told the committee that she's going to investigate Koleka Zama for misleading the portfolio committee. Why did you appoint Ms. Zama, knowing her history of dishonesty with Parliament? What made you to appoint a person with a history of lying to Parliament under oath? I'll pause for the response.
Honorable Minister.
Chairperson, if I may just ask on the first part of the question around section 16, the points made by the honorable member. Is it section 16 of the Tourism Act? Did I hear you correctly?
Honorable
Or
Mashabela.
is it another section? My apologies.
I'm talking about section 16 of the Act, subsection 3A.
Oh, I've got it now, Honorable Chairperson. Now, so many documents. Let me start with subsection 16(3)(a) and then refer the members to a point.
Can you please
that I-
speak into the mic, Honorable
Sorry,
Minister?
Sorry, Chairperson. When I was speaking earlier on about a due process, I was referring that due process was contrary to the specific provisions of sections 18, 19, 20, and 18, 19, and 20 of the Tourism Act of 2014. Now, when I read the act together, clause 16, and I read clause 16 together with 18, 19, and 20, yeah, then your question about 16(3)(a, that the minister may on good cause shown dissolve the board by way of a notice in the Gazette and appoint a new board in accordance with section 13. I am satisfied, Honorable Member, that I have complied with the law. I have complied with section 3A, that 16(3)(a that you are making reference to. If I go to section 13, 16, and 3A, section,
It's not a dialogue. I just want to assist the minister.
please do,
Instead of misinterpreting the act,
yes?
just answer the question. Let's leave the act alone because I can see where you are going. The question is, what made the minister to appoint a person with a history of lying to Parliament under oath? Is the question. Let's leave the act.
But I'm answering the first part of the Honorable Member's question. You raised section 16, section 13, section 16(3)(a. I'm trying to answer, I'm coming to the second part of your question.
Oh, Minister, thank you for misinterpreting the act. Let's go straight to the question.
You're entitled to your views. I'm reading the act. I'm not even interpreting the act, Honorable Member. On the question of Ms. Zama, my response is going to be the same. You know, Honorable Member, it happened in 2023. You are right that I was in a meeting where she was asked to leave that particular meeting. But subsequent meetings, she did come back to the committee. And only thing that I'm asking for is that, so members think I'm lying when I'm saying, I can't remember all of the detail. I will go and get the detail. There's the parliamentary monitoring group. There's the minutes. I will have records in my office also. And I will give you a proper response. without trying to suck some excuse or reason, I will give it to you.
Can I go to the second question, Chair?
Yes, you may, Honorable
Thank you.
Mashabela.
Many employees, Minister, have come out to you crying about the abuse they are suffering at South African tourism under the current CEO. Until today, you and your deputy minister have done absolutely nothing. You immediately removed the board after they suspended the SAT CEO. Is there any corrupt relationship between you and the CEO that you are protecting? Thank you very much.
Honorable Chair. Honorable Minister.
Honorable Chairperson. Yeah, the many employees crying. If you have got any evidence, there are many employees crying. The deputy minister and myself, we have twice a year, every 6 months. We call it town hall meetings. We go to SAT and we call all the staff and everybody together and they engage with us and they will tell us. Because we were trying to improve the staff morale. Another meeting is due with all the staff. If they have submitted grievances about the CEO, they certainly have not submitted those grievances to the deputy minister or myself. I know that they have submitted grievances to the board, and that is including the company secretary that has submitted a grievance, but then the board must then say what they have done with those grievances. You know, my colleague, honorable member, I can't even spell corruption correctly because I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I don't want to smell corruption anywhere in government. And like I said in the beginning, every law matters. Every cent of government matters. And according to the oath that I have taken, I must look after the taxpayers' money. So there's absolutely no corrupt relationship with anybody in South Africa. Anybody in South Africa, no corrupt relationship. If you want to, I can open up my banking accounts to you. I can invite you to my house. The president has done lifestyle orders on all of us. It's there. But I will not tolerate anybody even insinuating that I've got a corrupt relationship with anyone in this country.
Thank you, Chair. Minister, why did the minister fail to appoint a deputy chairperson for 9 months when the act is prescriptive that the minister must? Does the minister accept that the failure to fill this leadership gap contributed to governance instability?
Honorable Mashabela, I think I'm going to come in there. I think you are now the second person who's asking the same question. And then Minister have done a rontom tali, like we say in Afrikaans. She's not clearly answered that question. So I think you should move to the next question.
No, Chair, it's not the same. The first part is the same, but the second part, does the minister accept that her failure to fill this leadership gap contributed to governance instability? That part, no one asked it. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Minister.
Contribute to governance instability. The answer is no. Thank you.
Chair. Minister, among the issues requiring urgent scrutiny is the irregular appointment of the current CEO, who ranked second in the interview process and has a history of financial transgressions within South African tourism. Minister, did you deliberately mislead cabinet by failing to present the top-ranked candidate for the position of the South African tourism CEO, thereby manipulating the appointment process?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I have said to this committee earlier on that I sourced a copy of the report and the process that led to the recommendation by the then board to the appointment of Ms. Goliwe. I further said, I've got the copy here, I will share it with the committee. I further said that I took the recommendation from the board to cabinet. And cabinet concurred with the recommendation. To say that I have misled cabinet, I had to take the full report and the process of how they arrived at their recommendation to cabinet. So I've not misled cabinet at all. There's absolutely no evidence. Thank you.
Chair. Please, the committee must note that no one has ever laid a formal complaint about the CEO of South African tourism and lived to see another day as an employee of South African tourism. If the decision that was taken by the board was unlawful in terms of the act, why is the minister confirming that CEO remains suspended and yet the minister dissolved the board?
Honorable Minister.
Yes, because the process and the procedure to deal with the suspension or disciplinary of the CEO is with the board. They will make a recommendation to the minister to concur or not to concur. In this instance, again, the new board that is being appointed now in the interim, they will deal with that matter. It's with them. It is on their desk as one of the first items that they have to deal with. I'm not getting involved in disciplinary procedures. That is why I said that she remains suspended, because the next board must deal with that issue and make a recommendation to the minister. Thank you.
Honorable Flong. Honorable Mashabela, raise a hand quickly. Honorable
Okay.
Flongo.
Is there any
I
hand?
hope it's not a question, huh?
No, not a question.
Okay.
Chair, we are seated here as members of this parliament, Chair. And I said it when Minister was responding to me. I'm again saying it when Minister is responding to Honorable Mashabela, that it must be noted, Chair, that Minister is not willing to cooperate to this portfolio committee on tourism, the portfolio committee that must hold her accountable, because Minister The board did write to the minister for concurrence in the suspension of the CEO. She knows it. They wrote to you, minister. But Chair, you say they did not write. So Chair, I wanted just to mention that the minister knows these things. And again, she continues and protect the CEO even in front of us.
Honorable Chairperson, let's talk about which suspension, because her suspension is the second one. And I'm responding to that. That's why I say the second one is going to that board. The first attempt, I also explained earlier on about the concurrence that was sought from me and what I did. So there's no confusion here. So please, when members might follow up, say first attempt or second attempt, then I can respond directly to that.
Honorable Mashabela.
Okay, thank you very much. I get you see the minister is busy. So, Chair, has South African tourism communicated with the service provider involved in the MI finding about recouping the 4.1 million? If so, what was their response? What are the next steps? And what has this been included in South African tourism's response to the Auditor General?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. So you are service provider in the 4.1 million. That is the service provider, I think it was WWP. That is what I will have to go and find out, whether the administration and the suspended CEO or COO, whether they have contacted the service provider, and come back and give the honorable member that information. Thank you very much.
I think this time the minister must do the correct thing. The minister must do the right thing. Go and do the right thing, minister. You know the difference between right and wrong. Minister, in conclusion, the dissolution of the board is unlawful, minister, because it is inconsistent with the Constitution of the Republic and inconsistent with the Tourism Act itself. Please go and apply your mind and change your decision. Go and do the right thing, please. What you did is absolutely wrong.
Honorable Minister.
I think the honorable member, as Marshall, is entitled to your opinion. Certainly, I grant you that. But like I said earlier on, I have acted in terms of the law, and that is my interpretation. If the decisions that I've taken is unlawful, another member asked whether it can be reviewed, and I said yes. That is why you've got the separation of powers, the executive, parliament, and the judiciary. We've got an independent judiciary in this country. So I'm not going to pretend to be a pseudo lawyer and say this one is right and that one is wrong. I can only say, based on the legal advice that I have received, this is how I have acted in terms of that legal advice. Thank you.
Honorable Mashabela. Okay. Honorable Mashabela will be followed by Honorable Linda.
Chairperson, good afternoon, and good afternoon to all present again. Honorable Chair, I want to thank the Minister for her presentation today, and also I want to thank the former members of SAT and the board members who honored us with your presence today. I know you took the day out of your lives to be here, and we appreciate all your submissions made today. Minister, you said earlier a story has two sides. Let me correct you. A story has three sides. Yours, theirs, and the truth. And I tend to believe the truth. So, Honourable Minister, your steadfast declaration that the buck stops with you rings in hollow in the context of the SIT crisis. Your handling of this matter suggests not that the buck stopped, it went right past you, or it was abdicated. But the fact that this committee and the public first learn of the SIT explosion through the media is profoundly unsettling. It reveals a lack of hands-on leadership and oversight that this department so desperately needs. You should and you could have prevented this. So, Chair, I want to ask some questions to the Minister on the suspension of the CEO. Honourable Minister, you stated that the CEO suspension is related to the allegations from a staff member. So what is the specific nature of these allegations? How you even said that on the media? And can you confirm whether they were formally brought to the HR department or to the previous board, for that matter, before being escalated to you? And then when it was escalated to you, what did you do?
Honourable Minister.
No, I don't know how many times I've explained with due respect to the honourable members. There's a letter that you also have. The letter was written by this dissolved board. I have said in their letter, they said because of retaliatory reasons, whatever. I said it twice. I had also in the meeting of the 4th of July, because I don't deal with disciplinary matters. I've raised it with the board, their failure to deal with 2 grievances from the company secretary. I also raised it with the CEO and the board. I said, why have you failed to deal with 2 grievances from the company secretary up till now? Somewhere between them, the buck, whatever. But you asking, I will go and get you the answers. But that process must go on. The new board must deal with those issues and then make recommendations to me. I don't know how many times must I repeat what is in the law. Please, honourable members, I really don't know.
Let me just come in there.
Can I just also, the last one,
Honourable
Chair,
Minister,
before
I
you-
just want to quickly say that, you see, I'm going to reiterate it. And I think for future purposes of the functioning of this committee, that we take this into cognizance. The fact that we are sitting here without any documentation provided by your office. Letters you are talking of, we have not seen them. Resignation letters by the chairperson of the previous, we've not seen any of those documentation. So we are just, that is why I said inquisitorial, so that we get to the bottom of things, because we have not been provided like other committees who get provided by the ministers, they get provided by the executive with information, and based on that information, they then come to the committee and hold the executive accountable. We are unable to do that because we do not have any documentation from the executive. So when you make reference to letters, etc., we have not received those letters. And I just wanted to correct that. Thank you, Honourable Minister. You may proceed.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. I was referring to what the dissolved board was reporting about. Now, the honourable member raised that they had to learn through the media. And this happened in the month of August. Your honourable chairperson picked up the phone, even though you were all on a recess. And she said, Minister, as soon as we go back from recess, I'm going to call you to come and explain and answer. When I met with the tourism sector, also to explain to them what is going on, Again, I said that we will give you a feedback on our interaction with the tourism sector, which I've done today. So I don't know whether members expected me to come and bring a report to you or consult with you before I dissolve the board. That is not clear to me, Honorable Chairperson. Was that the expectation of the committee? Because the committee was also in a recess. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Chair, I'm going to comment on that, and I want to make a statement that the minister knew about everything that happened and was happening in SAT, and we did not know about this. So that's why we are not very happy that we should read about the issues in the newspapers, but you couldn't entrust us with it. Chair, but let me continue on my second question on the CEO. And Minister, I do understand that you are not involved with that this disciplinary process. We do understand it, but you have a hand in it, unfortunately. What did I say? The buck stops with you. The suspension of the CEO occurred amidst reported disagreements between the CEO and the board on strategy and governance. And today we learned that the probation issue for the first time. So who made the decision to suspend the CEO? And here my question, was it you or the board, which lacked a chairperson? You dismantled the board, the CEO remains suspended. On what legal basis was this action taken? And please don't tell me your legal advisor told you so. You or the chair or the board without chairperson? Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Minister.
Opportunity. This is not about personalities. This is about accountability. And certainly my only concern is safeguarding public funds and ensuring that South African tourism is stable and credible. Yes, the buck stops with me, but the application of the law prescribe that you have to go through certain processes before the buck stops with the minister. And that is what I am respecting, due process. You can't break the law a little bit or big. I hear some people say, it was just technical. So they broke the law. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. The proof is there. And you know, the minister, I am very respectful of all the committee members. I was one side also on that side of the house. And I've got tremendous respect for you. And I don't want to sound as if I'm ducking and diving. I will repeat, the buck stops with me again, because I said to the portfolio committee there. But the buck stops with me in terms of the law. The law gives me powers. It gives the board powers. It gives the SATs and institution powers. It gives parliament powers. It gives the constitution, it gives us all powers. So we must know our powers in terms of the constitution. Not the buck stops with me. Yes, it stops with me, but in terms of this, it's the highest law in the country. And if anyone ever expect me to disobey this law, I will not do it. As simple as that.
Thank you, Chair. We'll leave it to the public to decide on these, the quality of these answers. Minister, did you know about the probation assessment, and were you taking sides to deliberately trying to protect the CEO? And I did know you are going to say something about it again, but you halted the process based on what I've heard today. The moment the probation came up, then there were resignations and issues. So I need to know, what is your involvement here? And on the same topic, let me ask another question. This Chair, the Minister can answer at once. Have you been communicating directly with the SAT CEO Why did you communicate with her? And can you undertake to provide the record of all this communication to this portfolio committee? Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, and thank you, Honorable Member. Excuse me. Stop thinking. I've heard the allegations today made by the previous board chair. And if the previous board chair has got evidence, those allegations must be tested. If you want to test it now, then I can also say, give me that documents, the allegations that has come out here. But it's an allegation that must be tested. And I'm prepared for that allegation to be tested in whatever way. Even if the portfolio committee want to test that allegation, I will give my full cooperation. Now, communicating directly with the CEO. I want to give you one example where I did communicate directly with the executive of SAT because I sensed that they needed help to completely understand and comply with the PMFA and government procedures and all of that. I convened a meeting with all the executives. I took with me the Director General of the Department of Tourism, the Legal Office of Tourism, Chief Director of Tourism Legal, and also the CFO of the Department of Tourism. And I said to them, you are all officials here. What I pick up is that there are some weaknesses. And I asked the DG and the CFO and the Director of Legal Services to assist them. And they did take up that offer afterwards to contact the DG or the CFO for matters. Again, I am prepared to bring the record to the members where I've written directly to the CEO. One example, it's the Jazz Festival, starting on a Friday and a Saturday. Around about 12 o'clock Friday that afternoon, I received from SAT a call to say, Minister, we can give you 10 tickets for Saturday and 10 tickets for Friday. SAT offering me 10 tickets to the Jazz Festival. I think DM can speak for herself, but I know they also offered to the board chair. I said, you can't invite me to an SAT event. I have got already accepted an invitation to go there. I went there to the Jazz Festival. And the SAT had their own hospitality section. And then I didn't even write that. I phoned the CEO. I said, who authorized this hospitality tent? Because again, I've made interventions in terms of the cost containment measures. The cost containment measures is clear on hospitality. Yes, and I wrote to the CEO, and I wanted to know the following. How many people were invited, and who are those people? I wanted to know what was the cost of the hospitality box. I wanted to know who authorized it. And then what did I do? I also sent that same letter to the board. Because the CEO was my first port of call because I spoke to her on the Friday. So yes, but what you conclude to mean that by communicating directly with the CEO, I have covered up for the CEO, I've undermined the board. It's here. What I raised with the CEO, I also raised with the board. I really, Honorable Chairperson, want to dispel this notion once and for all that I'm trying to protect the CEO without a single stitch of evidence. But people are using it as a cover for themselves instead of answering, why did you break the law? This is not about personalities. I am here for accountability. And I keep on hearing this coming through from several members. Maybe, you know, out of your content advisor, we all, you know, questions.
Order,
Okay.
Chair.
No, I'm just saying that.
Order, Chair.
The advice that you got.
Chair, with your respect, I think the minister was coming okay up until she becomes emotional and want to generalize the participation of individual members of this committee by posing questions to her as personal attack. These are not personal attack. We are here in this meeting to seek clarity and engage the reports from the dissolved board, including the input that she has provided in the beginning. So with due respect, Chair, Minister must not become emotional and generalize the participation of members as a personal attack against her.
But Chair, the order was called by me.
Yeah, but there's also no order amongst you as members this side. You see, Linda was on the floor. There was a point of order called by Hlongo. My ex was just jumped in. And then Mashabela is just commenting. I'm sitting right here by you. So I just wanted to say, Honorable Minister, please refrain from generalizations. It's not a personal attack. When the two of us spoke, we've said to you that we want to get to the bottom of this. You'll be granted an opportunity to come and explain your decisions that you have taken as the minister yourself. Now, this is your opportunity to explain to us and explain to South Africa why you've taken certain decisions. And therefore, when honorable members are asking questions, it is not a direct attack on your character, but it is for us to steer the ship of tourism into the right direction. Thanks. Yes, Honorable Minister.
I apologize. I didn't mean to generalize. I was merely saying that so many of the one question is coming from almost every member, insinuating that I am protecting the CEO. And Honorable Member, my apologies too. I do get emotional when it's implied, either by omission or commission, that I am protecting corruption. And I think you will understand where I come from, but please accept my apology, Chair.
Chair, I still stand on my point of order that I called. Chairperson, the minister can't come here and disrespect us. She says we are mentioning one and the same thing because the content creator, meaning we can't think for ourselves, meaning we do not know what is happening in the board. Minister must withdraw that, and Minister must refrain from defending herself. As you correctly, Chair, said, we're here to get to the bottom of what transpired and how did Minister get to the decision to dissolve the board. Not that we are here to attack the minister, and she's not here to defend herself. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Hlongo. Thank you, Honorable Hlongo. I also heard the minister apologizing. And I don't think I'm the only one who heard her apologize. She apologized, and we are therefore accepting your apology. Minister, please refrain from generalization, as Honorable Maet was saying. Now, Honorable Linda.
Chair, thank you for continuing my session. Honorable Minister, by dissolving the entire board, you created the perception of a guilty verdict for all. So can you say that there was no individual who acted with integrity and deserved to be retained to ensure institutional memory and continuity?
Chair, can I just get the first part of the question? you said?
Can you repeat, Honorable Linda?
I said by dissolving the entire board, you created the perception of guilty for all.
Can you speak into the mic, please, Honorable Linda? Daar sê.
As ek ons probeer weer, voorsitter.
Keer, ja.
By dissolving the entire board, you created the perception of a guilty verdict for all. Was there no individual who acted with integrity and deserved to be retained to ensure institutional memory and continuity? Did you really have to dismantle the entire board?
Honorable Minister?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. and Thank you, Honorable Londi. Like I said earlier on, that I stand by my decision. And I have advanced the reasons why. I have repeatedly stated the reasons in terms of the act. I've also repeat what violations of that I deemed in terms of the Tourism Act, Section 18, 19, and 20, and others. And I will again say, Honorable Chairperson, like I said before, that I have read in the newspapers that the board members plan to challenge my decision. And maybe the court will bring finality to the board's interpretation of the Tourism Act versus my interpretation of the Tourism Act. Because that is where you finally seek a solution through the independence of our court. So I hope that makes this clear. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Can you walk us through the, let me say, non-public, questionable process that you used to elect this interim board? Did you merely took the names that were sent to you on the letter from TVCSA? Because within a few days you appointed an interim board, but in nearly a year you couldn't appoint a deputy person. So what criteria were used that differed from the criteria used to select the previous now dissolved board? I'm wondering if your hand is being forced in these appointments. As you all know, Ms. Zama's inclusion raised the eyebrows. Who is twisting your arm, Chair? Thank you.
Honorable Linda, that was your last question. Your time is up. You've exhausted your 20 minutes. Honorable Minister, you may proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Lindy. Nobody can twist my arm. I won't allow it. Let me say, I've explained that I was in the process, after having gone through a process of recruiting. That process was about to be gazetted, whereby I was going to fill the vacancies on the board. The process of appointing the 6 people, it says that the minister can appoint 1 or more people. That is the authority granted to the minister. The procedure that I followed in recruiting the 6 people, of which 1 is a representative from the Department of Tourism, and the other 5 are members that I have recruited. All 5 of them went through security clearance, and I acted based on the security clearance that came from the department to appoint it. Nobody twisted my arm. I could see what we need in terms of this 6 members of the board. What skills do we need? And as I said in the Government Gazette, and I've got a copy of the Government Gazette here, I was satisfied that the 6 people bring together the necessary skills and experience. So that is what I have done in terms of the Tourism Act. Thank you, Chairperson.
Honorable Linda, you'll be followed by Honorable Ligaraba. No, Honorable Linda, you've exhausted your 20 minutes.
See, I need to just follow up on this answer that the minister said. She said earlier today that she received a list of 6 names from TBCSA and of the names of this interim board, or did I hear incorrectly? Because then we need to go back on the recordings.
Honorable Minister.
Honorable Chair, what I said is that after we had the execution lab, I received a letter where we discussed the Tourism Partnership Growth Plan. The TBCSA board took a decision to appoint 6 of their board members to work closely with the minister in implementing the tourism growth plan. It was not related to the 6 members of the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Ligaraba.
Thank you, Chair, for affording me this opportunity to deliberate on the matter in person. Good afternoon, Minister, the DM, my colleagues here, the DG, and the SAT board. I'm not sure whether to call you the dissolved board or, yeah. Let me go straight to my questions, Chairperson, as we are behind time. My colleagues here have already exhausted much time. Minister, what is the reason behind the New York offices not to be audited? And then once you start doing that, we all start asking ourselves, what is it that you are trying to hide? And to tell you the honest truth, Minister, you can't be a player and referee at the same time. It can't be. Not so long you said you are allergic to corruption, but once you start saying the offices in New York mustn't be audited, it seems as if there is something that you are hiding. To you, board members or former board members, how was your working relationship between yourselves as board members and the minister before alleged meeting of the 1st August, which prompted the minister to dissolve? And again, what was the relationship between yourselves as the board members? Another one, Minister.
Just on a point of procedure, the chair has gone out for the bathroom. So I just thought she has asked Ms. Hlongo to just facilitate the proceedings.
Thank you. Let's stick to one question and an answer, Comrade Levu.
No, thank you. I've asked 2 questions. The other one directed to the board members and the other one directed to the minister. Can you please answer?
Thank you, Honorable Member. First, as it relates to internal audit, there are 2 provisions. The one is that the Auditor General go and visit SAT offices. Every year they select 2 or 3. Then the AG and her team will go to those offices. In this instance, what has happened is that the AG, and then we must pay, as SAT, we must pay for that services of the AG to go and do the internal audit. And the New York office was one of the offices that was on the list that we agreed with the AG that in that financial year, she was going to visit or office was going to visit. It was New York, it was Australasia, and there was another one. Now, having said that, I will see, because it is a decision in terms of cost containment measures that the minister must sign off on international travel. If you look at the National Treasury Memorandum of June 2024, you will see what is the responsibility there. So when the internal audit of SAT now also wanted to go to New York, where the AG did go, I said, but the AG just went there last year. And I said to them, select another office where you can go to. We've got about 6 or 7 different offices. But what I will do, honorable members, I will draw the correspondence out about this visit of the internal audit to New York. I'm just giving you what I can remember, and then I will share it with the committee, Honorable Chairperson Slongo.
Thank you, Minister. SAT.
Was there a second part of the relationship, must I answer? No.
Sorry, Minister.
No, I'm saying there was a second part of it dealing with the relationship. Must I answer it later?
That was directed to the former board
Oh, I
members.
see. Okay.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you for the question, Honorable Member. With regards to the relationship with the Minister as members of the board, I'm going to speak as a member of the old board and as a member of the new board, which has subsequently been dissolved by the Minister. So there are 3 of us. One of the members is not here. It's myself, Mr. Pilani, Ms. Maya, that are part of the old board that was appointed in March last year. And subsequently, we were joined by our colleagues that are here in September when my former colleagues here resigned, and alongside with the other members as they mentioned. I come from the industry. I've got over 2 decades of experience in hospitality. I run hotels for a living. Just like my colleague here, I am working for a listed company, Southern Africa's top leading hospitality groups. I have served on the Cape Town Tourism Board for 2 terms. That's a total of 6 years. And we did amazing work. I chaired some committees, the marketing committee, the HR REMCO committee. We dealt with Day Zero when I was here in Cape Town. We dealt with the Auditor General many times, and the relationship was good. And it is still good. Like my colleague mentioned, we were able to get their assistance to provide us extensions under the difficult circumstances we found ourselves in as the recently dissolved board. So our relationship with the Minister, as somebody who comes with industry, big business, we are the private sector. We are the private sector. We are the main members of the private sector, tourism industry, to be specific. There's really no higher than the people around this room. So when you have us on a board, best be guaranteed that you have tourism advocates that are doing it for the love of the game. Any tourism minister is immediately, in our minds, a friend of ours. And that's how we view any appointment when ministers come and when ministers go. Minister DeLille was no exception. We welcomed her with open arms as industry, and therefore, to start answering your question, Honorable Member, the relationship was good. in the beginning, as members of the board with our direct involvement in this sector. Because we, before this board, we're already playing the game of tourism. Tourism growth is our game. International arrivals is our game. Route development is our game. Air access is our game. Domestic campaigns is our game. Creating employment through tourism is our game. We are the ones that do it, nobody else. So if a minister has a board like us, our expectation is that the minister looks with an eagle's eye, oversight, and purely oversight. Because we, contrary to some of the alleged comments that we have heard about, are not incompetent. We are not incompetent. We are far from it. We are the top industry leaders in this room. We represent the sector. So the relationship as a board, when I started with my colleague here, or my former colleague, should I say, Mr. Pilane and Ms. Maya, the three members that remained from the previous board that were joined by the members on my right and the ones that are unfortunately not able to be here. We, and I'm pointing to my colleagues on the left because I was on the board with them, we had a relationship that, in my view, quickly became one that is notorious for one-way conversations. The minister will say a lot of things, but the reality is that we are quite often, and the records are there. The records are there. We are involved in one-way conversations. Remember, I said we are the top in the game. As a collective, we represent industry. We talk about TVCSA, we talk about SETSA, we talk about Saki, we talk about big business, Torvest, hospitality groups, Southern Sun. We talk about members that are running tourism in the Lowveld, doing big things. We are the sector. So our expectation is for the minister to take us in a confidence and allow us to do our work. But like I said, we were involved in many one-way conversations. What became then apparent, and this is a commonality between the old board and the new board, is the commonality as far as the sore thumb. In my view, and I think my colleagues will attest to this, was an issue with one member of the board, which was the former chairperson who subsequently resigned at the last minute of the Q1 ordinary meeting on the 31st of July. That was the common denominator in terms of our issues. We raised concerns. We got to a point where we raised the vote of no confidence with the old board. And to go back to two of the members' comments about, or questions rather, with regards to the deputy chair and the deputy chair appointment, and the minister's response that she didn't appoint for a year a deputy chair was because she realized there were factions. Well, members, with respect, that is news to us. We have never heard that before. We talk about communication in this board. Some of the members alluded to it, a breakdown in communication. The minister, our expectation would have been, and mind you, this is not without the board asking, Minister, when are you appointing a deputy chair? Once, twice, more than 3 times. And the minister's response, as my colleague alluded to it, is I'm working on it. Contrast that with the feedback that has been provided today, which is that there are factions what you would expect, and one of the honorable members rightfully pointed it out, and it was well placed, that the minister would then bring this to our attention as a concern and cite it as a reason for not appointing a deputy chair. The minister crippled this board with her inaction. And I do not accept that her reason was factions. We do not know of those factions. We are industry people. Outside of South African tourism, we are doing tourism work for a living. Minister cited the budget coming from South African tourism, 1.5 billion. And she mentioned a 30 billion coming from the industry, if I remember correctly. We are the members in that 30 billion. Our organizations, respectively, through trade shows, international trade shows, which some of them are not happening because there's a dissolved board and there's no CEO, there's no CMO, there is no head of risk, there's no COSEC. IMEX is one of them. We are not taking part. Stakeholders were informed last minute. We are the business in the 30 billion. So the relationship is as good as it is mutually beneficial from a respect point of view, from a communication point of view, and the lines of command must never be blurred. I accept that the minister might have to engage with the executives, but surely, if you have a board, you speak to them first, and then you may wish to then speak to the executives, because you immediately showed signs of transparency by following the chain of command. To speak to the executive and then say that you're speaking to the board about jazz afterwards, I don't believe that's appropriate. I don't know which organization that has got a line of command runs like that. So we as board members found ourselves in a situation where we are putting out fires, and when we try to deal with that, somehow there seems to be obstacles. You get asked for endless information, which when you provide, then there's just always something else. It was cited by the minister that there's no crisis. The TVCSA chair, Chief Chivenga, stated, yes, maybe there's no crisis in the industry. And I want to assure South Africans in this committee, yes, perhaps there isn't at the current moment, despite the cracks, IMEX, and other trade shows and other international shows that I don't know what's happening right now. We are interested parties because we are a private sector. We are interested parties because we are advocates. We are interested parties because we are South Africans. We know that when we partake in those trade shows, it's going to increase tourism arrivals internationally specifically, which then immediately has a direct impact on employment, especially for our youth. The minister is well aware of the unemployment rate specifically related to our youth. We are trying to do that in the bigger scheme of things with respect, members, chairperson. That's what we are trying to do. We welcome any minister. We welcome any minister, and our relationship is always going to be good with any minister, granted that we are allowed the opportunity to do our job, which is oversight, consequence management. If there's MIs, we need to act. Everybody knows who the Auditor General is. Everybody knows. So how come when there's a 4.1 material irregularity, we do not get the support that everybody in this country expects to be granted to a board so we can move forward? Why are we dealing with obstacles?
Chairperson, Chair, on a point of order.
Thank you.
As much as we love listening to you, our time is really, really limited. The youth and young businessmen really always amaze me, but thank you for your inputs. But Chair, if we can maybe round up.
Thank you. Honorable Linda, you're out of order because the chair had left me to chair the meeting. And here you are now chairing the meeting. Chair, we were on, still on, Honorable Livu.
Proceed, Honorable Ikaraba.
Thank you, Chair. I think my time is, I still have 18 minutes. No. Sorry, the board member was like, yeah, unfortunately was unstoppable. Minister, in September 2024, you appointed the dissolved board members and you appointed Prof. Davis as chairperson, but you failed to appoint the deputy chairperson at the same time. I mean, the same time when you appointed him, the chairperson. Was the action deliberate or it was an oversight? And after his resignation as the chairperson, do you agree with me and the committee that you put the board in difficult situation by not acting quickly in appointing the chairperson and the deputy chairperson of the board? What prompted you to designate 2 members as chairperson and deputy chairperson on your newly appointed board? Why did you prioritize the chairperson and the deputy chairperson in a committee which is interim, a caretaker for that matter, where you failed to do it before? To me, you failed to provide a proper leadership in the board after the resignation of Prof. Davis. What was your expectation in the functionality of the board when there is no chairperson? You expected the board members to cease their duties or due to the resignation of the chairperson, or that include holding their ordinary meetings and conducting their normal business? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. The board had their quarterly meeting, full meeting, as required in terms of the Act, where the full board can meet at least 4 times a year. On the 31st of July, or the 30th. Yes, some members say the 30th. Now, on the 1st of July, on the 1st of August, that was now not a normal quarterly meeting because they just had a quarterly meeting. They decided to convene a special meeting, and I don't want to get into the semantics of round robin or whatever. What I'm pointing out to members, there's a procedure in the Tourism Act that prescribes that in the event that you want to have a special meeting, there is a procedure that you must follow. And that is what I have raised. Also, in terms of the procedure, nowhere in the Act does it make provision or reference to a representative of the board in several sections of the Act, and I'm not going to go there again. So, I've also explained earlier on, Chairperson, that this was not deliberate. The Deputy Minister and myself had a discussion that we want a female deputy, and unfortunately she resigned. Now, I also explained with the newly appointed 6 people that I've appointed, the newly appointed board. The process of filling the vacancy on the board and the intention to appoint a deputy chair and a chair was already there, because a month before that, I submitted to the department 6 names or 5 names for security clearance. And the department did that. So the department came back to me with 4 names that we had security clearance for. I then booked the Gazette. Let me get my dates right here. The Government Gazette only published once a week on a Friday. And you have to book the Gazette, which we did. And then your deadline for submission of names to be gazetted and anything that you want to gazetted must get the government printers by that Thursday. So it just happened that we did have these 4 or 6, 5 new appointees. And then I appointed from them a chair and a deputy chair. And that was gazetted, I think, on the 22nd or the 17th, I'm not sure. But that was the procedure that we have followed. Now, I must say, I hold nothing against any of the people here from the private sector. I only have respect for them. I've learned a lot from them. When they were complaining about the board chairperson, I fought with the board chairperson in front of them. I said, let's put up a WhatsApp group and put me on the WhatsApp group, but we can help to move these things quickly. And I recognize the capabilities of the people coming from the sector. But while the board comes from the private sector, they must still follow the prescripts of which govern the entity. The entity is a Section 3A entity in terms of the Public Finance Management Act. The relationship is that government is the shareholder and the minister is the representative of the government as a shareholder. So that is how you apply, or we must apply, the prescribed law that's in the Tourism Act. So I want to put it on the record. I've got respect for them. I will not insult people. It's not in me to insult people. But, you know, we still have to follow the prescripts of entity 3A in the PFMA. I hope I made myself clear, Chairperson. Thank you very much.
You may proceed, Honorable Kharaba.
Yeah, thank you, Minister. I hear you talking about the quarterly meetings, but in real sense, you can't just sit down and fold your hands while the house is burning. The resignation of the chairperson itself, it shows that there is something that was not going well within the board. Minister, do you agree with me that your decision to suspend the board after the resignation of the board chairperson, you interfered with the business of the board? Because you failed to take no action immediately after the resignation of Prof. Davis, but you decided to dissolve the board itself. And then, do you believe in the authority, autonomy, and the independence of the board in line with the powers given by the board to the board by the Tourism Act of 2014? And the board took a decision to suspend the CEO on the 13th of August, 2025, based on the independent forensic report findings against allegations of unfair labor practices. And then as Rina, as the committee minister, we put it categorically that your action to dissolve the board was seen as deliberate, wanting to protect the suspended CEO against allegations of misconduct and corruption. And then such charges were the charges that were leveled against the CEO were misconduct, dishonesty, and failure to perform her duties. For example, the legal opinion from the Cliff Decker Commission appointed by the board, the WPP, that one which speaks of 4.2 million, that contravened the Treasury Regulation Act, and the Ngubane report that you, during your presentation, you even mentioned it. Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Honorable Chairperson, I can repeat that I stand by my decision. I am certain that I have followed the law to the letter and to the T. There can be different opinions about my action, and I accept that. But I cannot accept that I act unlawfully. And if people feel that I've acted unlawfully, certainly there are ways to test that. I think one of the members also said that I appoint subcommittee chairs, which I don't. And so I just want to repeat what I've said earlier on, that the board must still follow the prescripts of the law in terms being a Section 3A entity in terms of the PFMA. So I have acted in terms of the law, and if people feel that I did not act in terms of the law, that's certainly their opinion. But then let's agree to disagree. I have explained it in different ways, but every time coming down to the same point. Government is the shareholder, and the minister is the representative of the shareholder. The role and responsibility of the minister is to uphold the law in terms of the Constitution. And I grant anybody, like I did, and considering what to do with the board, I grant anybody that right too. Anybody. If my interpretation is wrong, it's not, whatever, it's your opinion. But I stand by what I have done. Thank you.
Honorable Karabe, you may proceed.
Yeah, Chair, after all the allegations leveled against the CEO and the decision to put the CEO on precautionary suspension by the board, the minister felt it is important to dissolve the board, therefore undermining the work done by the board itself. In your media statement, Minister, there was no way where you ever mentioned anything about the allegation leveled against the CEO. As the committee, we view your actions of dissolving the board, that is dealing with alleged corruption, as protecting the CEO and perpetuating corruption at SAT. Lastly, Chair, the media statement to us as the committee, we took it as undermining the portfolio committee, which the minister is accountable to. I repeat, getting information from the media, I consider it, or we consider it seriously undermining the portfolio committee. Therefore, my recommendation to you, Chair, is that, and the committee, is that the minister must apologize to the committee and the public. And instead of dissolving the board, the minister must deal with the forensic investigation findings against the CEO. And therefore, I call upon the minister to reinstate the board. I thank you, Chair.
I think that is just a recommendation, Minister. Honorable Likaraba. Oh. Honorable Likaraba was going to be followed by Honorable Mootley. But Honorable Mootley was not feeling well, so he's left. Yes, so after Honorable Mootley, I've noted Honorable Tito.
Thanks, Chairperson. Greetings to everyone who is here today afternoon. Chair, I'm going to pose my questions on the Minister. As the Minister was indicating to us that she has received the resignation letter of Mr. Gregory Davids, the Chairperson of the Board. Can the Minister maybe take us into confidence and maybe tell us maybe 2 reasons why the Chairperson of the Board has resigned? Because of the Minister kept the committee in the dark about the resignation of the Chairperson. Thanks, Chair. Is my first question.
Honorable Minister.
Chairperson, can I just say in terms of the recommendation, maybe the honorable member must state based on what law is this recommendation based? Also, the board that dissolves themselves by not following due process. I've repeatedly said that over and over. I have quoted the sections and I'm not going to repeat it. And, you know, again,
There's a point of order, Minister.
Thanks, Chairperson. Yes, Chair. I thought that maybe the Minister and Honorable Likaraba, they were done with their communication. Because of now, I'm asking the question and then the Minister is answering another member. Thanks.
Oh, I see, sorry.
Minister, please interact with the question posed by Honorable Tito.
Okay. So let's go to the next question. And as you can see, Chairperson, I have to go back to answer and make sure that I repeat consistently what I've said right from the beginning. And again, the suspension of the board or the dissolution of the board was done in terms of the provisions in the Tourism Act.
Chair.
Yes?
Yeah, no, I think the honorable member Tito must read the question because the minister is not answering the question.
Honorable Ashabela,
Okay,
you
I'm
did
sorry,
not
can
even
you
raise
just
a point of
repeat?
order, etc. You just say chair and you proceed. No, please.
My apology, Chair, if you can just repeat the question.
Honorable Tito, please repeat.
Thanks, Chairperson. My question was that the Minister has the resignation letter of Mr. Davids. Can he maybe give us only 2 points on why did Mr. Gregory Davids resign as the board chairperson? And why did the Minister keep the committee in the dark about the resignation of Mr. David? Thanks.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I have made the copy of the resignation letter available to the committee from Professor Davids. And in that, I've put it here. I don't know whether it made the copies.
Chair, order again. Minister must not say she's made the copy
But
available. It's not available.
Can you, honorable members, wait for me to recognize you? You just grab the mic, you say point of order, you proceed without being recognized. I see it has now become a regular phenomenon now in the committee. Can you wait to be recognized? I don't know how this committee have done things before, Like I stated earlier, I'm 2.5 months here. In my previous committee, we did not do that. We wait to be recognized. Honorable Ishmael, you may proceed.
Thank you, Chair. I also want to say on a point of order or point of clarity, the minister says over and over and over again in her replies that she's made this available to the committee. We are not seeing it in front of us, Chair. I don't know if you have it. Please advise and make it available to us.
Thank you, Honorable Ishmael. I've not received anything and I've put that on record here. Minister probably has it there in the many attachments there somewhere on a desk, but it has not reached any of us here. If it did not reach the committee secretary, who then disseminates all information to all honorable members, we have then not received any such information. And that is on record here. I think, Minister, perhaps it's somewhere there by you.
Honorable Chairperson, this morning when I spoke to the committee, one of the committee people that's assisting you, he asked me if I can give the copies and they will then provide the copies to the committee members. And I was under the assumption that that has happened because I put it here. But let me just also ask for my office what they have done to make sure that the copies is handed to the committee assistant, and then I will get back to Chairperson now.
I'm just gonna clarify quickly, so that we hear, but we have not received it. I have not received it in my inbox.
Gentleman there next to them.
Honorable Minister, none of the staff members have received the documents. So the documents has not been availed to us. So we are still going to await for that documentation to be forwarded to us.
My apology for that, Chairperson. I think I spoke to the gentleman next to you there, but we will clear it up now. When the DM and myself arrived, we also didn't have the copies, but we will sort it out now, Chairperson. Can I respond to Honorable Tito?
You may proceed, Honorable Minister.
Honorable Tito, in the resignation of the Professor Davis, 2 paragraphs. He just confirmed to the minister, as discussed with the minister, I'm here with confirming that I'll be stepping down as a chairperson of SAT, resigning as a board member from SAT. My last day will be the 31st of July, 2025. I will avail myself to update the incoming chairperson on the current matters. And Honorable Minister, once again, I express my appreciation to you for giving the opportunity to serve as the chairperson. It was indeed an honor and a privilege to serve and restore SAT governance stability and establish the platform for SAT future strategic growth. That is the copy of the letter dated the 29th of July. And then there is the minutes of the board meeting, where at the end of that board meeting, it is noted in the minutes that he then told the board that he's resigning at the end of the meeting. But I don't want to speak for him, Honorable Chairperson.
I can see Honorable Tito is jotting down follow-up questions. Honorable Tito.
Thanks, Chairperson. Chair, you know why did I ask that question to the minister? Because of, I remember very well we had a portfolio committee meeting, it was last year, when the minister came to us and gave us a briefing about the board members were continuously having 54 board meetings. And then we asked her, why did she appoint Professor Gregory Davis as the chairperson? Because he was also part and parcel of that board meeting that was taking the 54 board meetings, which were irregular. The minister took us into confidence, saying that Mr. David is qualified and everything like that. But now today, there is this letter that is coming here to us. Can the minister explain to us, because of the letter itself, it's not, how are we going to hold Professor David accountable when he is writing that letter to the minister? It's a question. Thanks.
Thank you, Honorable Tito. I'm noticing the hand of Honorable Ishmael, followed by Honorable Linda.
Thank you, Chair. I know I'm not allowed to ask a question on another member's question. I just wanted to get clarity. Did the minister say Professor Gregory Davids resigned on the 29th of June? I just want to clarify the date.
Letter is dated the 29th of July. He resigned as from, what's this thing now? He resigned, it's dated 29th of July, but it's effective the last day being 31st July. Okay.
Chair. Can
Minister, Honorable Tito's question.
I think the member is still on, so I see a lot of hands. So can we give Member Tito a chance to ask questions?
Honorable Mashabela, I have just asked the minister to interact with Honorable Tito's question. If you didn't hear me correctly, I've just, before you jumped in, because you did not raise your hand or ask to be noticed, you just jumped in. I've asked the minister to please interact with Honorable Tito's question. I'm repeating myself again.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Tito has asked about the resignation of the previous board chair and why he resigned. I then offered to read the letter and that we are going to sort out the copies for all the members now. And so I've read the letter now, and then questions came from here. So through you, Chair, if there's a follow-up from or another question from Honorable Tito, can she please put it to me? I've just answered the first part of a question. Thank you.
Honorable Tito, you still have a lot of time left. May I proceed?
Thanks, Chairperson. I asked the minister, how are we going to call Mr. Davids here to the portfolio committee to come and account, because of he was also part and parcel of the previous dissolved board when already he has written a resignation letter.
Honorable Minister.
Honorable Chairperson, I can recall in the beginning of the meeting, there was a report to say that the committee did invite him and then he had made some apology, if I recall correctly. But it's up to the committee to, the PC to invite him. Thank you.
Honorable Tito.
Thanks, Chairperson. Chair, the minister indicated to us that he received legal advice on the dissolvement of the board. Didn't the minister see it fit that she was also supposed to receive the very same legal advice on not having a deputy chairperson for the period of 9 months? Maybe let's say in 2 months already that legal advice must come in and advise the minister that you must have a deputy chairperson because of such instances where the chairperson automatically just resign and leave the board in Lumba like that, and then critical decisions must be taken without a board, and then we don't even have a deputy chairperson. Why didn't the legal advice that advised him to dissolve did not advise him in time to have a deputy chairperson?
Honorable Minister.
Honorable Tito, even if there was a deputy chairperson, they still had to follow the procedure because it's a special meeting they convened. And it's prescribed. It's prescribed, doesn't matter. It has to be prescribed in terms of the Tourism Act.
Honorable Tito.
Thanks, Chairperson. Chairperson, I'm going to post my last question to the Minister. Because of Chair, I can see that the Minister really, she doesn't want to answer our questions. She's just going around the corners, coming up with lots of stories. When we are actually asking a direct question, she's not directly answering us. So I'm just going to pose my last question and then give over to my next colleague. Could the Minister agree that the dissolved board inherited serious governance issues with adverse audit findings against South African tourism, and that this board had brought some stability in the entity and was working to deal with corruption in the entity? Thanks.
Honorable Minister.
Honorable Tito's question that they inherited this baggage. And yes, there was a lot of baggage starting way back from 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. Yes, they did inherit a lot of baggage. And that is what the board had to deal with. Even myself, I said to this committee before, when you come into a position, I can't say, I'm now minister, that happened before my time. You accept the responsibility and the position with the baggage. And therefore the board must play an important role to deal with that. Even I'm still dealing with 2021. There's still some issues in the department of 2018. And then when members ask me questions, members go back as far as 10 years ago. I must go and find those answers. So yes, there were and still are some issues there that need to be attended with by the board.
Honorable Tito.
Person, I'm done. You can go to the next person.
Thank you, Honorable Tito. I think you have donated your extra minutes to Honorable Klong.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, we must also not overlook that the committee must not overlook that the minister seems not to be having a good relationship also with her support staff. Members have continuously requested for documents. The minister said, no, I will call my office, whereas there is some of her support staff here. We must not overlook that. You can't manage a small office. What about the department? You can't have a proper relationship with small people in your office. Now, what about managing the big department? Chairperson, I want to take the minister back to what she alleged earlier. She alleged that there were factions in the board. Now it means that she is telling us that there were two groupings in the board. So can the minister explain what she specifically meant about those factions and who were the leaders of those factions? In this regard, Chairperson, the minister must give us specific names to say Paul was leading this faction and Mary was leading this faction.
Honorable Minister.
Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Member. The question, I did answer it before. Now, the Honorable Member is taking it 1 point further compared to other members. She's asking for me to give her the names of who led which faction. That is what the Honorable Member is asking. And my response is this, that what I have noticed just from the operations of the board, the chairperson and the deputy chairperson that I appointed, that are here today, and if some of the board members can be honest, in 2 meetings with them, when I call board meetings, I ask the board members, why is it only the chair and the deputy chair that are speaking here? Are you intimidated? I asked them in that meeting, and they didn't answer. And the meeting continued with just 2 people answering the minister. It was only after the meeting where some people confirmed to me that in fact they're fearful or whatever, but I'm not going to go there. So that is what has happened in that particular board. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Again, the minister has failed to clarify and to take this committee into confidence what she alleged about the factions in the board. What the minister have just said is that there were 2 meetings whereby she picked up that there are infights. So out of only those small 2 meetings, the minister took a very big decision of dissolving a board. That must be noted, Chairperson. And now, Minister, I want to ask you this question. Are you aware that there is a deputy minister in the department?
Honorable Minister.
Yes, she's sitting next to me.
Honorable Tlong.
I'm not, it's not a joke, Chairperson, because it seems like the minister is just taking the deputy minister as a flower pot decorating the department. The question, Chairperson, is, did the minister consider involving the deputy minister in the decision-making process regarding the dissolution of the board? And did the minister inform the deputy minister about the establishment of the interim board? And did the minister facilitate an introduction between the said interim board and the deputy minister?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Yes, indeed, I do have a deputy minister and we do work together. I must just say the previous question, you were not referring to the same board situation. Yes, the deputy minister, when I had a meeting with the sector to brief the sector about what is happening in SAT, the deputy minister was off sick. The deputy minister was off sick.
There's a point of order.
Even though she was sick, Honorable Chair.
Sorry. I'm not asking about the minister's meetings with the sectors. My question is simple and straightforward. Did the minister take the deputy minister into confidence? Did the minister introduce the said interim committee to the deputy minister?
Honorable Minister.
I'm busy answering her question because she made a statement and she asked a question. I was explaining that when we were briefing the sector, that the deputy minister was sick, but in a sickness, she logged into that meeting. Again, when we had the introductory meeting of the new board last week, Friday, The deputy minister was on a machine because I talked to her every day. So she was sick. So it was not excluding the deputy minister because I wanted to, it was because of the circumstances. And she's here, she can answer for herself. I then spoke to the DM again, and I told DM about on Saturday. I called DM and I said to her that I have sent this letter to the chairperson of the committee, the note that we don't have the documents ready. I said to DM that once we've got the documents from the state attorney's office, the two of us will try and meet like yesterday. The documents didn't come until this morning. And as we were walking here, both the deputy minister and myself got a copy. I had prepared my statement, and I also asked my office to give the deputy minister all the attachments which they made this morning. So maybe to insinuate that I am ignoring the deputy minister, it's not correct. We're working well together. So I just want to say, Chairperson, that is not the case. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Are we allowed to pose questions to the Deputy Minister?
You may. One question.
Thank you, Chairperson. DM, is what the minister is saying, is it true? Has she been informing you even about the process of ending up taking a decision of dissolving the board? Were you informed? Do you know who these people that have been appointed in the interim board, do you know who they are?
Oh, thank you very much, member. I was hoping that I won't be requested to respond to any question. As you could see and hear from the minister that it's the responsibility of the minister by law. But the minister do sometimes discuss with me about the challenges that is faced by the board. But to be honest, we had a meeting, I think, a day before the board was dissolved with the industry, where the minister raised some issues of her concern. But I only then was informed by the minister that the board has been dissolved after it has been dissolved. And I raised that with the minister by saying, I would appreciate it, Minister, when you have such intention to always just to inform me, because I belong to a party, which then when such things happen, they would call me and ask me what is happening. And it's best to say, I don't know. It's bad, it's unlike me. As you know that I've been a deputy minister for ages. I've worked with different kind of ministers, but there's no different from minister and other ministers, which were my party's ministers. We are working very well together, but there is that weakness that the minister then will inform me always after everything has happened. Your second question with regard to the names, I don't know those people. I received a call from the chairperson of the portfolio committee, who was fighting with me as my leader in the party, saying that why didn't you inform us that there are such names that has been proposed? I said, I don't have such a list. Can I have a look at that list? And then the chair then gave me that list. So to be honest, working together, we are working together, as the minister is saying. But where such decisions are being taken, maybe there will be an opportunity in future of us discussing such things before decisions are being taken. That's why I've decided to keep quiet, because I know we are working very good together. But when these specific decisions were taken, I was only informed after. Thank you very much.
Thank you, DM. Honorable Tlong.
Thank you, Chairperson. The committee must know that the minister took decision and the deputy minister was informed later after decisions were taken. Another question, Chairperson, is to the board. I want the board to confirm to us if what the minister alleges is true. The minister is alleging that there were factions in the board. So can the board maybe clarify that matter? Was there factions in the board?
Honorable Minister.
Chair, I think it's the board, not the minister.
Is the board, please? Who from the board will be answering?
Chair, based on the discussions that were raised by the minister, she was talking about the former chairperson and the former deputy chairperson, which is Makosazana and I. And so I think it would be best if we are able to talk to the issue of whether there was factions. In response to that, I can say that the minister has distorted the facts of the board. There is or there were no factions in the board. The meeting that the minister refers to is a meeting that was led, it was on the 30th of August 2024, that was led by the chairperson. The chairperson, at the end of her submissions to the minister, had invited me to make contributions, and it was on that basis that I'd made those contributions. In addition, it is not true that the members couldn't answer and were bullied. In fact, the opposite is true, and there's a recording. The members, the board members, and we're fortunate enough to have two of them that can confirm it, said they were covered by the submissions as presented by myself and the chairperson of the board. So that is factually incorrect. The second point that I do have to raise is that when we resigned as chair and deputy chair, there were 4 board members who resigned with us in support of what we had done. So that evidences that 4 board members were not factions against us or did not form part of a particular faction. In addition, there's 4 board members that have remained on the now dissolved board. 2 of those members are here. They can comfortably and confidently confirm to you that they do not form part of any faction. That is then the totality of the board. We then directly and sternly say that the minister is being dishonest to the portfolio committee by saying that there was factions and that the faction was created by myself and the chairperson. Thank you.
Additionally, Chair, I think it's.
Recognize you. I think Ms. Rachel here, her hand was up. Ms. Rachel?
Thank you, Chair. I think it comes back, the question posed to the minister was around why she did not appoint a deputy chair. And her response was in relation to factions on the board. And I think I speak for the recently dissolved board when I say there were no factions. That's why you have the entire board in front of you with 3 very firm apologies this morning from members who had pre-existing meetings that they could not get away from. So the confirmation from us is that there were no factions, unless the faction was the board from the 29th of May raising concerns around the then chairperson, Gregory Davids, around his lack of understanding and execution of governance. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Rachel. Ms. Kanile?
Thank you, Chair. I think additionally, it's important to also note that in the letters of removal received from the minister, she cited that she was removing the deputy chairperson and myself specifically because of our leadership positions, which means she recognized the role that those positions play within the board, which means in meetings with her, we were then the de facto spokespeople for the board because of those leadership positions. And it would be prudent for the minister to then detail the individuals, because she said individuals reported up to her after the meeting to say that they were bullied and they were scared and there were factions. I support my ex-deputy chairperson's reiterating the fact that there were no factions, none that we are aware of, or even ever dealt with as a board that we are aware of. But perhaps the minister can shed light on who those members were that felt there were factions, because there were none. Thank you, Chair.
Thank Ms. Kanyile. Mr. Pilani?
Thank you, Chair. I rise on the basis of the fact that we were the remaining ones after the members resigned. And that by saying that, it does not mean that we were a faction. We were nominated by tourism organizations to serve in the board. And we had consulted with the tourism organizations, and their mandate was that, no, you are representing the sector, you should not resign. So we stayed. So there was no faction. It's a factual that there was no faction. But I must also hasten to point out that the minister likes that, using that name, factions, because she then moved it to this current board, a dissolved board, that in a WhatsApp group, which I can actually read on the WhatsApp group that she created. When board members ask, what is the purpose of this WhatsApp group? The minister's response was that if you do not want to belong to this WhatsApp group, you can leave. I do not deal with factions. And so we were quite taken aback, because all we wanted is that we saw a group and nobody explained what it was, and our names were in it. And it was rightfully so, Chairperson, that we asked, what is the purpose of this group? Because there was no explanation. But instead of us receiving the explanation, the minister called us factions, you know. And so it's her way, if you do not agree with some of the things that she purports to want you to do, she then factionalizes you, you know, because we did not agree with the chairperson. And then we became a faction, you know, and that's how minister comes to that conclusion. So we disagreed with the chairperson. We informed the minister about the chairperson, and instead of the minister responding, she then labeled us factions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Pilani. Honorable Clown?
Thank you, Chairperson. Yet again, the minister has misled the committee. Clarity from the board is of satisfactory. There were never factions in the board, as it's alleged by the minister. So, Chairperson, I'm going to give the minister the last chance to take the people of South Africa into confidence. There is, I'm looking for that question here. Now, Minister, since you have mentioned it many times, since you have arrived in this committee, in the portfolio committee meeting today, you have mentioned that you are the minister that hates corruption with passion. You have mentioned it that you abide by the law and nothing else. Now, the minister, I'm giving, like I've said before, I'm giving you the last chance to take the people of South Africa into confidence. There is an information in the public domain about alleged irregularities under the watch of the suspended CEO. In that, 100 million rand tender was awarded by South African Tourism to Pome Express, a company reported to have failed to show proof of experience and alleged to have provided false misleading information in its bid. Has the minister engaged the board on this matter? And is the minister not concerned about this allegation against the CEO?
Honorable Minister.
Honorable Chairperson, I'm concerned with any allegation, anything, because I took an oath of office to look after the public interest and the public purse. And any allegations, wherever they come from, they must be investigated, they must be tested, and the law must take its course. That is my position on any allegation. So there is no ways that I could be linked to the responsibilities alone of the CEO. The CEO must answer. If it's the head of supply chain management, they must answer. We know in terms of the PMFA, that as politicians, we don't get involved in procurement. And these issues must be tested. And people can produce the evidence that they have, must be investigated, it must be tested, and the law must take its course. We should not turn a blind eye to any of these things. Certainly not myself. It must be tested, it must be investigated, and those who are found to have done wrong, they must be brought to book. Honorable Member, that's my attitude with any allegation of corruption. I thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Honorable
you,
Klong.
Chairperson.
You have exhausted your time. It's now,
I heard, Chairperson, but I heard extra from my colleague.
no. Honorable Maecho.
Yeah, no. Thank you, Chair. And once again, greetings to the Minister, the DM, as well as the Office of the Minister, and then the board. I will say the board for now, because they are present with us here. Honorable Minister, I will mention the rules of Parliament, since you have mentioned the separation of powers in terms of the Constitution between the executive as well as Parliament. And these powers, these rules, they empower the committee in relation to holding the minister accountable on the matters at hand. Amongst other provisions, Rule 227, subsection 1, paragraph B of the 9th edition of the Rules of Parliament stipulates that a portfolio committee must maintain oversight, and then number 1, exercise within its portfolio of national executive authority, including the implementation of legislation, and 2, any executive organ of state falling within its portfolio. Now, in addition to Rule 227, subsection 1, paragraph C, it stipulates that a portfolio committee may monitor, investigate, inquire into, and make recommendation concerning any such executive organ of state, constitutional institution, or other body or institutions, including the legislative program, budget, rationalization, restructuring, functioning, organization, structure, staff, inverted commas, that's your CEO, and policies of such organ of state, institutions, and other body or institutions. Now, Honorable Minister, these provisions of rules are very important for this meeting. Now, as we are sitting here as the committee, we're going to interrogate you as the executive on a wide array of issues, including but not limited the application of legislation. functioning of the board, conduct of staff, which is the CEO in this regard, and labor policies of South Africa, of South African tourism. Now, I thought that I should at least bring it to the attention of this meeting, because repeatedly you have been reminding us and reflecting on the separation of powers in terms of the Constitution, in terms of your role and our role. So it is also equally important that this meeting must also remind the Minister of our role as the oversight function of Parliament, which is this portfolio committee. On the 14th of August, there was a letter from you that you wrote to the board seeking an explanation from the dissolved board that why they have taken a resolution to place the CEO on suspension. And this was televised or broadcasted on the media and the television, where you also gave them 48 hours. And that, yeah, you gave them 48 hours to respond. Now, the question is, because when I was listening to the board, and this also will go to the board as well, did you receive that explanation from individual members of the board? And equally to the board, have you written, since you have been given 48 hours to respond to the decision by placing the CEO on suspension? But first, I will want to hear from the minister. Thank you. That's the first question.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Chairperson, I in fact have the same rules here with me. And I respect the rules, and that's why I even brought it with me and I read it again this morning, especially powers of the Portfolio Committee in terms of Rule 227. So I have them with me here. So I'm aware about the points raised by the Honorable Member and the powers of the committee. The Honorable Member make a reference to a letter dated the 14th of August, if I heard you correctly, where in that letter, I wrote to the board where I asked for a written response as to why the board should not be dissolved. Yes. So I also have that here. And then there was a response by the board, I think on this 14th of August. It's both here. So the letter reads, and the response of the letter of the 14th, they acknowledge receipt of the letter dated 12 August, sent individually to board of directors, the board, concerning the board resolution of 1st August. We provide the board's written submission, though thought it prudent to provide the necessary background regarding the events that led up to the board. Now, if I heard you correct, Honorable Member, you said I wrote a letter to the board on the 14th of August asking them why did they suspend the CEO. Is that what you are saying?
Honorable Etcho.
No, Chair, I think the minister did do justice to correcting the earlier statement forwarded by myself to her. The statement is such that you wrote a letter on the 14th of August seeking explanations from the board by its decision. Remember, the board took a decision, the resolution.
Yeah.
So on why they should not be dissolved.
Yes, indeed. The letter to the board reads as South African Tourism Board unlawful resolution taken on 1st of August. It's been brought to my attention that the SA Tourism Board of Directors passed a resolution on 1st August by way of a round robin to appoint Mr. Lawson Naidu as a representative of the board to communicate and implement all decisions taken by the board. And then a copy of that is attached to. I did not, in my request, at any time ask them to respond to the suspension of the CEO. I just made a reference to section 13(7) of the Act that reads, the minister must appoint one member of the board as chairperson and another as deputy chairperson of the board. That was the letter that I've written to them and that I've said they must respond to me within 2 days. So my understanding of your question, Honorable Member, was that you said that I wrote to the board to ask about the suspension of the CEO in that letter of the 14th. So I'm just trying to correct that. Thank you.
Honorable Maechu.
Chair, I want to respect your plea by cautioning the meeting in the beginning when you said we are not going to be engaging on dialogue. And with that regard, I think the minister is aware of what she has addressed the media, and when she addressed the media about the very same decision that you then took to write to the portfolio, to the then dissolved board, and also giving them the 48 hours. So I don't have to be into detail, but if you want me to be into detail, I will do that, because I can do that, Minister. But for the sake of time, with due respect, I humbly ask that did the board submit to you that explanation of why they should not be dissolved within the 48 hours?
The answer is yes, they did respond within the 48 hours.
Honorable
Sorry.
Maechu, you may proceed.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. This question also goes to the board.
Board members.
Thank you, Chair. As I said earlier, we received a letter on the 12th of August, Honorable Member, from the Minister asking us to provide reasons why the board should not be dissolved. And the issue we were to respond on was on the Minister's allegation that the resolution that we had taken to appoint myself as a board representative was unlawful. We therefore premised our response on that. But we went further. We submitted a detailed 4-page letter to the Minister, which gave the background to the issues in the board that ultimately led to that resolution being taken. So we feel that we dealt comprehensively with the question that the Minister had posed to us. The problem, Honourable Member, is that as I highlighted earlier, and it's a point that I think needs to be emphasized, is that the letter that then came from the Minister on the 19th of August that dissolved the board used a different reason for dissolving the board. It was no longer an unlawful resolution. It was now an unlawful meeting. We were never asked to respond to the issue of an unlawful meeting. So we were never given an opportunity to be heard. And on that ground alone, the Minister's decision to dissolve the board has no validity. Thank you.
Ms. Norkelly. Yeah, you raised a hand, or you didn't.
No, I didn't hear my own surname.
Oh.
I think it's very important, Portfolio Committee and Honourable Chair, that we bring to your attention that we wanted to meet with the Minister over and above the letters that we wrote, that we also said we are willing to meet. It is important that we meet. A meeting was then convened with the umbrella body, the Tourism Business Council of South Africa. And as my colleague said, we are members of the TBCSA. And in that meeting, the membership of the private sector had requested to the minister to mediate, to meet, to commune, to convene in the spirit of a democratic movement as comrades. Let's talk these matters through, because it's in no one's interest to keep dissolving, resigning. It puts us in disrepute. In the meeting, and there's a very nice English word, and actually, I'm not English speaking. It's called duplicity. You say one thing and you do another, which the honourable member there had asked the question, did you not? And in that meeting, the minister indicated to all of us, the leaders, the CEOs of all the big companies, that she's willing to meet with the SAT board. When that meeting concluded, we received our letters. We are dissolved. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly. Honorable Maecho.
Thank you, Chair. Now, Chair, this clearly shows that the board or the dissolved board is being dissolved on the basis of performing its constitutional mandate by the minister. And it is in my view that this was an overreach by the minister for doing that. Also, I will join the chorus of the other portfolio members that it is indeed that the minister is seen protecting those that are flagged in the forensic report, the Auditor General's report, and therefore preventing the board from performing its mandate. Now, I don't want to repeat this matter because I know that the minister will also bring a particular view over this thing. Now, just for the record, I wanted this meeting to note that indeed there is an overreach by the minister in preventing the board from performing its constitutional duties. Now, the question also will be directed to the board. Now, can the board provide the minutes or letter from the minister upon receiving the Ngubane forensic report? Because when we were listening to the presentation, there was a mention of the Ngubane forensic report, which also flagged the CEO in terms of maladministration and financial misconduct. Now, we want to check that because the minister in her statement says that one of the reasons that she had to also write to yourselves as the board is that she expected you to take actions on the forensic report, which you could not do that. So now, in this regard, I will want to ask the board to provide us with at least an explanation in this portfolio committee. Furthermore, these letters that you, Chair, requested in terms of the package prior to the meeting from the minister to provide us as members of the portfolio committee so that we can then read for ourselves and peruse. Prior to this meeting, we could not do that. So I would want the board to just provide that explanation, Chair.
Honourable Minister.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honourable Member. To your question about whether we the board did provide the minister with the report from Gubani and Associates, the answer is yes, we did. We did so at the same time as when we then highlighted to the minister that we are going to implement the recommendations in the report. And obviously, to do that, we obviously needed the minister's concurrence. The minister requested quite a number of the documents that related to, or more the issue of the intent to act against the CEO. And the information was provided to her. And as she rightly said, even by the time we had a meeting with her, by the 4th of July, she would have been in possession of all that information. But on the 4th of July, the minister highlighted the issue of the SIU report and the fact that we needed to have dealt with the issues there. Now, as the board, obviously, we were seized with a number of issues, as have been highlighted, challenges within South African tourism, which related to issues of government procurement and financial management. And at the same time, we're seized with the issues around the annual audit. So we had to make a decision as to what is important. We felt that the matter of the material irregularity is very important because it would be something that the AG had highlighted in 2024 with a note to say that it will be addressed in 2025. So as a board, we then applied ourselves to that matter. And that is why we appraised the minister of the report, the Ngubane report, and the intent by the board to act on that report. I think that should answer the question. The minister was very much aware of that. Thank you.
Honorable Maetso.
Thank you, Chair. And I will keep on referring to what you have mentioned in your input of the package or documents that we're supposed to receive. The minister alleges that the board chairperson resigned on the 29th. Is there on the letter there? But because we don't have that letter or document with us, we'll take it as a hearsay for now from the minister. But the board says the board chairperson resigned on the last meeting of the quarter on the 31st. So there is a contradiction here. And what I will propose, Chair, is that the minister must not even, I think that she has done that because I've seen her giving the office staff documents to submit to you. I think the minister has submitted that letter so that we can verify whether the letter is indeed from the former portfolio chair and as well as is dated the 29th, because there is a contradiction of these dates of the resignation of the chair. The board says 31st, and then the minister says the 29th. I think that one, I think it's on the lighter note. But Chair, the minister also said that she had removed the chairperson and the deputy chair from their leadership position and placed them in the board as ordinary members. She did not suspended anyone or dissolved anyone. The board members voluntarily decided to resign. Now, Chair, by doing that, actually the minister undermined the board's autonomy by removing both the deputy chair and the chairperson from their leadership positions and demoting them to ordinary members. But equally, Chair, what the minister did was to punish dissenting voices in the board, so that if the chairperson and the deputy chairperson were vocal about issues within the organization or disagreed with the minister's decision, then they could be seen as a way to be silenced. Now, the minister, I put it to you, I put it on record, and I put it to you that these actions by yourself, you were doing so to protect the CEO because of the findings on the material irregularity, Ngobani forensic report, as well as the SIU report, which you requested the very same board to give you the report on the actions that they taken. Am I correct or not, Minister?
Honorable Minister.
I will repeat again. And I might sound like a stuck record honorable member. Said right from the word go this morning, if there's any evidence that I'm protecting corruption or alleged corruption, please, people know what to do with that. I did admit this morning also that I received the Nkobani report. I received the letter from the board with their recommendation of suspension. I had a meeting with the board and I had said to them, if you want me to concur, let me look at your documentation, including the Nkobani report. I got the last information from the board on the 4th of July, a letter from CTH that was outstanding in my pack. I further advised the board in a letter to them that I seek the help of Minister Buthelezi to assist me to go through that information. Minister Buthelezi came back on the 27th of July. Before I could go back to the board and report back to them on the outcome of Minister Buthelezi's advice to me. And I've also said this morning, I'll make a copy of that advice also available to the committee. But to create a perception that I have delayed this deliberately from when the board requested me for my concurrence, that is what I've been repeatedly trying to explain this morning. It was not deliberate. That it took from the 4th of July to the 27th of July to come back to the board with a response. Now, then the board had their quarterly meeting on the 31st. And in the quarterly meeting, like some of the board members said that they have also had to look at the financial statements for submission to the AG. Because by midnight that night, the report had to go in. And they dealt with other issues and the resolutions of the board in that meeting. And that was an ordinary quarterly meeting of the board, where the problem started from. And this is what I've also said repeatedly this morning. And I don't mind to repeat myself again, because I respect the honorable members. The chairperson resigned on the 31st. The letter that I read here was dated 29th July, but in the content of the letter, he says he's resigning from the 31st of July. also that the quarterly meeting has gone past now. If the board then wanted to have an urgent meeting, it is prescribed how you call a special meeting of the board. Those are the issues that I'm raising. Nothing to do with the CEO. The CEO is still suspended as we speak. I raised the issue of not following due process in terms of calling a special meeting. And then on the 1st of August, and I don't want to go back to the semantics around whether it is a round robin or meeting, not meeting, but a resolution came out of the 1st of August consultation, let me call it that, that the board has decided to appoint Mr. Lawson Naidu as the chairperson, as the representative of the board. That is the procedures that I've questioned, Honorable Member, that they didn't follow due process. But I went further this morning to illustrate to the portfolio committee, it was not the first time that I've raised the same issue with them about not following due process. I had a meeting with the board on the 4th of July where I raised the issue. They must be careful, they must have properly constituted meetings. I followed it up with a letter in a writing on the 13th of July to say, please desist. On the 22nd of July, the board responded and they admitted that they will now improve to have properly constituted meetings. Because I said to them, Honorable Member, the decisions that you take in a committee or a meeting that's not properly constituted could be questioned, could be declared invalid, and it could impact on the integrity of the organization. So I raised it in a letter to the board on the 13th of July. And here we are, the 1st of August, and they do exactly the same, what I discussed with them on the 4th of July and in a letter on the 13th. So I want members to understand that I did make the distinction between a normal board meeting. In terms of the act, the board are allowed to have at least 4 meetings for a year. But when they want to have a special meeting or whatever meeting, they have to follow a certain process. Now, if the committee members are saying to me, Minister, but it's just a technicality. Look, they might not have followed process or not, why? Then we can discuss that, because then I can refer you to the law. But instead, what I hear is that based on the technicality, you had dissolved the board because you are trying to protect the CEO. And that's why I have to repeatedly say and explain that is what has happened. Now, can you see there? I don't mind to be intimidated, my sister. You protected. Thank you, EMS.
I was just going to say you may
So
proceed.
I really honorable member, I really don't want to go through the whole issue again. I'm still sitting here. I'm supposed to be on a flight for cabinet meeting tomorrow. But I had canceled my flights because I want to not be accused that I'm running away from the committee. I'll find my way how I get to Johannesburg tonight still. So, Honorable Chairperson and honorable members, I think it's a matter of how we approach this matter. You have got your approach and your understanding, and I've got my approach and my understanding. And I think throughout the whole day, I'll be the first one to admit that we were not able to meet each other. We have not been able to meet each other from your approach and from where I am coming. And I'm just, sorry, I'm generalizing. This is what I've experienced during the day today. And the question then is that the chairperson announced this morning that after we are done, then the committee will continue your deliberations. And then in those deliberations, you will then decide on the recommendations, including some of the recommendations that came out already to the committee that the board should be reinstated. And I respect that process. And I will wait for the outcome, Honorable Chairperson, of your deliberations and your decisions, and then we can further engage on that. So I've tried my utmost best to explain both in, the approach that I am taking, from what angle am I coming. I've listened to the dissolved board members and other members before. I fully understand that people think that there is a continuous culture of just dissolving the boards left, right, and center. I understand that too. And that's why I started this morning with the first board of the Tottenham Hotspurs deal and what happened there. So, in a way, we need to, in future, or we need to, not even in future now, that I will work with the committee. I will give my opinion to the committee, but the final decision will be the chair and the committee that will decide how you take this forward. But you are not going to let me just comply because there's a feeling that the minister must admit that she is protecting. I don't work on feelings. I respect your feelings, but I also want to ask, Honorable Chairperson, that this is my approach. And I hope I can leave you in peace now. You can have your deliberations. I will wait for a letter from the chairperson.
Chair,
Honorable Minister.
I'm still on the platform and hearing the minister. The minister is summarizing now the session, and I'm still on the platform. So
it sounds if I'm summarizing because I'm repeating.
So you leave us in peace. And
No, I'm going to leave, Honorable.
Honorable Moetjo, we've put a timer for all of you. You're on 32 minutes.
Chair, listening to the minister, I think I agree with her when she says that in terms of the act, the board is required to follow procedures in terms of convening its meetings. Even in a situation where there are urgent matters, they should follow the procedure. In a normal situation, yes, it's correct. But in an abnormal situation, which you, the minister, have created, what do you expect the board to do?
Honorable Minister.
I still expect the board to follow the law. Thank you.
The minister will, from time to time, not even answer us. And I think that we must just accept that she's not willing to answer us. But Chair, let me not further question the minister and just make proposals that the minister should reinstate the dissolved board. As the portfolio committee, we view the minister's action of dissolving the board as a way of shifting the blame, just to deflect criticism for her actions by placing the responsibility, her responsibility on the board members. And as well, I think that the minister is trying to maintain control in terms of what is happening in the administration, particularly the CEO, by portraying the board members' resignation as voluntarily decision. Therefore, the minister may be trying to maintain control over the narrative and limit scrutiny of her actions. Now, Chair, in the interest of time, that we have deliberated this matter, but it is not the end. We have the responsibility to hold the executive accountable, and I'm happy that the deputy minister was not even involved in some of these unilateral decisions that the minister took, but just calling her and say, I'm informing you that I've appointed so and so and so to continue with whatever that she believed that it will be in the best interest of the South African tourism. But in a real sense, the minister has brought lots of confusion, and where we are, we could have avoided this matter if the minister would have at least engaged yourself, Chair, and the Portfolio Committee, but taking into confidence the Deputy Minister as well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Maecho. And we have now come to the end of our meeting. I see there are, the person who posed 13 questions is shaking her head. She will, Honorable Ishmael, I think you can pose those questions in writing. You can submit through the SANG, and then we will then submit it to the minister. And then, Minister, we give you a week to respond back to the questions of Honorable Ishmael. We know that we've said that we will finish at 4:30. So I have to just extend an appreciation and thank everyone, because we are way over 4:30. It's now 2 minutes past 6, and you have remained here and stayed here until the end. So I would like to just thank the minister. And as she has mentioned, she had to catch a flight and cancel that flight because the Honorable Member Maecho was still on the floor, and she needed to still interact with all of the questions of all the honorable members, so that when we leave here, that we as the committee are satisfied with our deliberations for the day. Also, thank you to our Deputy Minister, Mamegi Sochu. She's also been here the whole day with us. Thank you to DG Vele, who's the leader of the department, and your team that's present here. Thank you to the South African Tourism Board. And then I must add the dissolved board. Thank you to the previous chairperson, Ms. Kandile, in absentia. She had to catch a flight. Thank you to the deputy chairperson. Is it Ms. Hashkins? Hashkins. Ms. Hashkins, you see I got it right? Oh, I put Advocate Hashkins, yes. Thank you to all honorable members and the committee support staff. Thank you to you, as well as our legal services. They have been here in the meeting, guiding us as we deliberated the whole time. So I'd just like to do some closing remarks. Honorable Hlongo.
Thank you, Chair. Just a proposal, Chair, that the minister kept on referring to her documents, that she leaves the documents before she leaves, so that she does not go and alter the documents and come back with new ones. She referred to them, meaning the information is there on those documents. Thanks, Chair.
But Chair, I'm just told that Cobus could see my parliamentary liaison officer will get the documents to all the members. Thank you. Cobus could see. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Minister, and thank you, Honorable Flongo, for jumping the gun, because that was one of, it was part of the closing remarks, that all documentation that were not submitted to the chairperson's office be submitted, so that we provide the information to all honorable members. Honorable Ishmael, you are going to pose your questions via Disang. The meeting of the 1st of August 2025 is contested between the minister and the dissolved board. This is the meeting that forms the basis of dissolving the board. The committee needs to get a legal opinion from the legal services of Parliament on the interpretation of the law. The committee must follow up on the issue of Ms. Koleka Zama, as the minister said she will still consult the handset. The minister ignored substantive issues on governance and financial mismanagement when dissolving the board. The new board must deal with the suspension of the CEO. It should be noted that the board inherited the CEO, who was appointed on the same day as them. The caution is that the CEO has checkered past as the material irregularities of 4.2 million happened under her tenure as the CEO. She was brought back by the interim board. Again, it is the interim board that will deal with her suspension. This matter needs special attention by the Portfolio Committee. So based on the legal advice, the committee may further deliberate on the matter of the dissolution of the board. The challenge is that the minister said the dissolved board intends taking legal action against her. If the legal action is taken by the dissolved board, the matter will be sub judice, and the committee may be hampered to deal with this matter further. Based on the legal advice, again, the committee may, through the office of the Speaker, need to write a letter to the leader of government business expressing concerns about how the minister is dealing with the issues at the South African tourism. And I know that majority of the members have proposed for the dissolved board to be reinstated. But we have consulted our legal advice that has been here since this morning, 10 o'clock with us, and said that we should have a thorough legal opinion, and then we will come back to attend to the matter. But the matter will not just be swept under the carpet. We will again interact with the matter. Thank you everyone for attending today's meeting. The meeting is closed. Thank you so much.